10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Check,
6,
1, 2.
7, 8, 9, 10. Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good with that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
What's
6,
going on,
7,
everybody?
8, 9, 10.
Appreciate you guys pulling up. As everybody pulls in, make sure you hit that like button. But hey, they got a suspect. They got him in custody. President Trump did just mention it. I don't want to actually, you know what? While we're waiting on the press conference to get kicked off, I want to, and let me move that real quick. I'm sorry. This is impromptu. We are going to have the regular show as normal. We'll see. We'll see if we are going to have the show as normal. We'll see how long this press conference goes. And then we'll click over to the, we'll click over to the other stream here in a little bit. But this is breaking news. We got to talk about it. We got to talk about it. But everybody's been on pins and needles waiting on, waiting to find out, or waiting on this individual to get caught. I do agree with you. I hope it's not a patsy. But the president did announce recently that they have this individual in custody. And give me a second here. I want to pull up. This is from MSDNC because I just got the alert, and they were one of the first to, put this out there. So I want to pull this up, and then while we're waiting on the press conference to get kicked off, here we go. Give me 1 second. StreamYard is.
In an appearance that is ongoing on another network, just said that there is now a suspect in custody for the Charlie Kirk assassination. We'll say that again. President Trump just now announcing that a suspect is in custody connected to the Charlie Kirk killing of a few days ago. The president just said this on Fox and Friends. I'll read the quote. "I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody. Essentially, somebody that was very close to him turned him in. And that happens," the president adds. He goes on to say that a tip stemmed from a minister, Trump says he believes, who passed the tip to a friend who was a U.S. Marshal. And then they involved the father of the suspect. We don't have an identity yet. We don't have a name of this suspect. President Trump himself saying that he learned of it just a few moments before he stepped on set. This is all taking place in the last couple minutes. As you might imagine, this is a very fluid situation. Seems like the president himself was just briefed on this. There were some details he acknowledged he did not know. But to recap the breaking news, of course, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the conservative political commentator and organizer, shot in broad daylight on a college campus in Utah a couple of days ago. Video graphic went around the world very quickly. There's been an intensive manhunt for this suspect here. You're seeing the individual on your screen. These are images released by the police yesterday as they they're imploring the public to come forward with help, come forward with tips, with other information about this person. So now we're going to hear, I believe we're going to hear now what President Trump said just a few moments ago.
I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody, right? In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor. Everybody did a great job. Getting somebody that you start off with absolutely nothing. And we started off with a clip that made him look like an ant that was almost useless. We just saw there was somebody up there. And so much work has been done over the last 2.5 days. It's amazing, actually, when you start off with that and then all of a sudden you get lucky or talent or whatever it is. But, I think we're in great shape. He's in custody.
That was President Trump just a few moments ago on Fox and Friends. He's here in New York City, appearing in studio just across the street, saying with a high degree of certainty, quoting him, that they have the suspect in custody, but we don't know who this person is. We believe at 9 o'clock Eastern time, so about 45 minutes from now, authorities in Utah will hold a news conference. Let's bring in now MSNBC investigative correspondent Mark Santia. Mark, thank you for rushing back to set. This is obviously a breaking story. Just a few moments ago, the president said this. Is there anything else we've learned as to what happened?
No, right now, I mean, this is a major development. For the president to say, quote, we have him. He's in custody. Obviously, major development. We're working the phones right now, along with my colleague, Tom Winter, Jonathan Dienst, reaching out. We know, as you said, Jonathan, there's a 9 o'clock press conference. We were told about a 9 o'clock press conference in Utah. And then shortly after, the president made these statements. Again, quote, we have him. He's in custody. President also said talked about the great work that's been done over the last several hours, the last couple of days.
Hey, this was that I found
at this point, we're just waiting
announced.
to hear. This is something that is very,
As soon
very
as I
fluid
get
at
to,
this time. We knew
as
they
soon as the
were
press conference
close.
starts,
We knew they had, Jonathan,
we'll make that happen
7,000
as well.
tips, pieces of
I think just
Yesterday, you were at the 9/11 memorial. We were all watching that. And J.D. Vance was supposed to be with you. He went out to be with Charlie Kirk's family and to get the body back to his hometown in Arizona. And you said you were going to award him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which was very nice of you. Any updates on this suspect?
Yeah. Can I always say, I think, just to protect us all, and so Fox doesn't get sued, and we all don't get sued, and everything else. But I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody, right? In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor. Everybody did a great job. You know, getting somebody that you start off with absolutely nothing. And we started it off with a clip that made him look like an ant that was almost useless. We just saw there was somebody up there. And so much work has been done over the last 2.5 days. You know, it's amazing, actually, when you start off with that and then all of a sudden you get lucky or talent or whatever it is. But, yeah, I think we're in great shape.
Mr. President,
and he's in custody.
Your suspicion was that he was radical left. And now you have more information. What can you share with us about his ideology?
Yeah, Lawrence, let me just, and by the way, Lawrence is doing a good job. What's going on here?
Yeah, Mr.
I'll tell you what, I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
I said you were going to do well. Yeah, I think that I don't want to go too far. I'd like to tell you some.
I'm assuming that Lawrence is a fairly tall individual because he's making the president look short. And I believe, you know, President Trump's about 6'3". And Lawrence is definitely making the president look short right now. Goodness gracious. He's got to be 6'4", 6'5".
Stories at how it happened, but essentially somebody that was very close to him turned him in. And that happens when you had some of those good shots. Somebody is going to say, whether it's a parent or whatever, I'd rather not say right now. They're going to announce it today, sometime later, probably talk about that. But somebody close to him turned him, you know, they said, whoa. It's interesting where we had very good pictures, but not great, not perfect. And when you look at it, what happened is somebody, and this happens a lot. It happened with the crazy Boston bomber. It happened with others. Somebody that's close recognizes even a little tilt of the head, which nobody else would do. And somebody that was very close to him said, that's him. And essentially went to the father, went to a U.S. Marshal, who was fantastic, by the way. And the person was involved with law enforcement, but was a person of faith, a minister.
Hey, y'all give me some grace for the MSDNC clip. It was the first one that came across my feed. Obviously, when you do this, we follow everything. So it came across. So I wanted to make sure that I got it up. And I was doing some research. The press conference, when it does kick off, I will get it up here once the press conference kicks off. We're waiting on the press conference to kick off. Once it does, we will switch over to the press conference. I'm not sure exactly how long this is going to go, we are going to have our normal show as normal. I got to send an email out to my guys because obviously today is panel day. I got to send an email out to them to let them know that, hey, this thing may get pushed another 30 minutes because this is breaking news. And I wanted to make sure that we got on here and we hear firsthand exactly what's going on. I wanted to do that. So, just so you guys know, my apologies for the MSDNC, but they're still doing mic checks and things of that nature on the press conference out there in Utah. So soon as that gets started, we'll get that clicked over. We'll get that switched over, and then we'll go from there. You guys are horrible, brother.
And brought him to a U.S. Marshal who was fantastic. And the father convinced the son, this is it. And again, I'm always subject to be corrected, but I'm just giving you, based on what I'm hearing, they'll give you a much more active. I just heard about it 5 minutes before I walked in. As I'm walking in, they said, looking real good. They have the person that they wanted. So you have breaking news, don't you? Huh?
Thank you.
You always have breaking news, Ainsley. Sean's going to be very disappointed that we're not doing it on his show.
He'll be very thankful and appreciative of the
I think
police
so.
officers that got this
I
guy.
think they did a great job. Everybody worked together. Pam Bondi is incredible, by the way. People don't know what a star she is. She's incredible. And it all worked out.
Could I ask you just some clarification? So a pastor was able to turn him in, or they got the family of the shooter to turn them in?
Well, it was a minister, and the minister went to a minister who was involved with law enforcement, by the way. And his good friend is a top U.S. Marshal. And they took it from there. And then it was a father got involved, namely his father, and said, we got to go in. And they, so I understand it. And again, subject to change. But, the facts are the facts. We have the person that we think is the person we're looking for. But they drove into the police headquarters, and he's there now.
Did the father know about what the son had done?
I don't know. I'm going to let you get all those questions later because I can't tell you how accurate. The bottom line is they have somebody that they think did it.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
All righty. So the press conference is, or at least it was scheduled to start at 9 o'clock. It still hasn't started as of yet, but when it does, we will switch over to that. I appreciate you guys pulling up this morning. Appreciate you all. Thank you guys very much. For those of you all that are, on your way to work, man, be safe out there on the road. Listen, but keep your eyes on the road for my folks that are, out there driving. For my guys that were scheduled to be on the panel, they did bump it up to 9:30. Okay, so we got a little bit of time. So my guys that were scheduled to be on the panel today, we'll see how long this goes and how long the press conference goes. But we're going to be here because this is breaking. We have to be here to discuss this particular situation here. So grand rising to you guys, man. I hope all is well with each and every one of you guys. Praise the Lord. That a suspect has been caught. I would assume that there are some others that played a role in this assassination. So my hopes is that everybody that played a role in this is caught and apprehended and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. There are some people out there calling for this guy to receive the death penalty. I'm not really sure if Utah has the death penalty. I'm not sure if the federal government will take this over because this did happen in Utah. I'm not sure if he is going to be charged federally or if he's going to be charged, via the state of Utah. Not 100% sure there and how that's going to play out. I do know that the FBI, Utah does have the death penalty. Okay. The FBI got involved in this, but I'm still not for sure if this is going to be a federal charge or if this is going to be a state charge. We're 100% not sure there. But the FBI got involved. Obviously, the U.S. Marshals got involved. Obviously, all of the state LEOs throughout the state of Utah, they were involved to help apprehend and find this individual. Thousands of leads, were given over to law enforcement to help apprehend this individual. You want to talk about doing a great job, man. You want to talk about doing a great job. shout out. We got to show some love, to our Leos, man. All of our law enforcement agents out there doing their job at a very high level. And shout out to all the people that had any information. There was videos that were popping up. There were people that had all types of little nuggets and tidbits of information. Shout out to each and every one of those people that helped, because every little bit of information helps when you're talking about, cases and situations like this, right? So, shout out to everybody that played a role, in this. This is phenomenal. Phenomenal news. For the Win said they have the torture rack. Somebody just talked about that, and I can't remember who it was. I was watching something the other day, and they were talking about bringing back not just capital punishment, but bringing back the punishments, public capital punishments, to discourage people from, being out here, and committing heinous acts. Obviously, we have entirely too many people out here just committing crimes. And a lot of times, they get slaps on the wrist, 5, 10, 15 times. And they're like, hey, man, we might need to bring back, some of these more, harsher penalties to discourage people from doing things that they shouldn't be doing. Okay, so the Utah governor said that this will be handled in Utah. Okay, so this is going to be state charge, and maybe he gets both. Maybe maybe this individual and the people that played a role in this, they get the state and the federal government after them. Maybe that is the case. Maybe that is the case. We'll see. So they say 8:30 Central Time, which would be 9:30 Eastern Standard Time for the press conference. Let me see if I can pull up anything else, if there's any additional information at this point that has come out. Give me a second here. And I appreciate you guys pulling up this morning. And while I'm at it, let me read a couple super chats. Shout out to Gerard Caswell with the $5 super chat. Says, praise the Lord. Absolutely. Shout out to Lord Jenkins. Says, enjoy a coffee on me, sir. Thank you very much. God bless you. Appreciate you. Jeffrey Wisnett with the $5 super chat says, I would like to give all the praise and glory to our Lord and Savior. I prayed for them to catch him. Yeah, I know. I'm sure a lot of people are out there praying that these individuals were caught. I'm sure of it. Oh yeah. You said there's a line? Now, screen's not cracked. I have a plant here, and some kind of way, this camera, it's got a super wide lens. I don't really know why, but the lens is really wide. Yeah. Ed, you're absolutely right, man. They hate the truth, man. And they don't like debate. They don't like anybody that's ideas or ideology is different from theirs. They can't stand it. Hmm. Okay, don't need that. Give me a second here. All righty. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, I mean, they could try to make it federal. They could, but I mean, if Utah has, the death penalty and they have, what they, if they can prosecute this and if they have all the information, I mean, whoever this individual is probably never, I ain't gonna say probably, they're never gonna see light of day. They're never gonna see the light of day. I know a lot of people out there are still in shock, you know, behind this situation. You know, a lot of people are still in shock. Yeah, Hunter says Utah is mostly Republican, so they will be harder on crime than a Democrat-led state. Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. But there's a lot of people still in shock, you know, behind this situation. A lot of folks are. And, you know, with all the vile rhetoric that has come out, you know, that has come out on the internet, on social media, TikTok, so forth and so on, it's actually starting to turn a lot of people away from the left. There's a lot of people that are coming out saying, hey, man, I just can't support. I can't support, you know, a party or people, you know, that would celebrate the demise of an individual, regardless of how you feel about them. You know, regardless of how you feel. You know, can't celebrate it, can't support it. And I understand it. You know, but I've been telling people for a long time, you know, if you are, you know, considered a Democrat and you don't necessarily like the direction of the party, you know, I've been telling people a long time, hey, you don't have to flip and become a Republican. You can become an independent and you can get out there and you can look at the parties, the parties, and you can look at the candidates in your local areas and on a national scale and look at the policies equally and say, hey, which candidates' policies make more sense for me? Which ones? And then make a decision accordingly. I think so many people feel like they're boxed into one side. I don't think you have to be boxed into one side. I think you can look at each candidate, you can look at their policy, look at their agenda, and then say, hey, does their policies, does their agenda align, you know, with my belief system and with what direction I want to see, you know, my city, state, county, or the nation, what direction they're going. And you can support and vote, you know, accordingly. It really shouldn't be that difficult. Now, I understand, you know, that our public education system, you hear, it hasn't done a good job of creating people that can, you know, freely think and look at information objectively and process it and make a decision. Unfortunately, our school systems are failing there. But you can do something about that. Because nowadays, everybody's walking around with computers in their pockets. You can take the time to do your own research, do your own due diligence, and you can teach and educate yourself, which is something that I've been doing for a very long time. And then those of us, you know, that would consider ourselves, you know, followers of Christ, people who are believers in the Word of God, I think that we should also look at our politics in that manner. You know, what would Jesus do? You know, how does the Word of God align, you know, with the policies? Now, I'm not saying that either side is perfect. I don't think either side is perfect. And as long as you have people in these positions, you know, of authority or positions of power that we prop up and push up, it's never going to be perfect because people are imperfect. People are going to do some foul things. People are going to say some foul things because, hey, mankind has failed a long time ago. A long time ago. But when you have people out here celebrating the demise of an individual, celebrating it. I mean, come on, man. Come on, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It really is. When you have that going on, people celebrating, it's sad, man. It really is. Last time I checked, we do live in America. Freedom of speech is a thing. I understand that people on the left, they don't want freedom of speech. They don't want the people to have the ability to express themselves freely. They don't want that. I understand that. I get it. No different than, you know, they're using, you know, this situation. They're using Charlie's assassination to say, see, I told you we need stricter gun laws and we need to take guns away from people. We gotta take guns away from people. You know, hey, we don't want the American people to have the ability to protect themselves, because what we do know is that criminals are going to do criminal things. Criminals are going to do criminal things. We know that. When you look at the places that have some of the most strictest gun laws in the country, they're also the most dangerous places in the country. The cities that have the most strictest gun laws in the country are the most dangerous places in the country. Yeah, AOC used it yesterday as an opportunity to say, see, I told you we need stricter gun laws. I told you we need stricter gun laws. She used it as an opportunity to do so because ultimately they want to disarm the American people, because a disarmed population, an unarmed population, is a population that can be easily controlled by a tyrannical government. And that is the reason why our forefathers put that in. They put that provision in. They put that amendment in the Constitution. People don't understand it, though. And you have people out there that are willing to give away their rights, because we have some people out here that don't know how to behave. It's crazy. It is crazy. When you look at the cities, now, I can't speak on I can't speak on Tennessee. Tennessee is a red state and everything goes there. Not everything, but y'all know what I mean. When we look at Memphis, which is one of the most dangerous cities in the country, and people will talk about the gun laws and things of that nature. It's an open carry state. It is a true Second Amendment open carry state. It is. So you can do, and the thing is that, we have free will. We have free will to do what we want to do. Now, you don't get to choose your consequences, but you have the choice to do what you want to do. And obviously, there are laws on the books that tell you what you can and cannot do. And, hey, you break the law, you deserve to be punished. Simple as that. We have free will. And there's hundreds of millions of law-abiding citizens out there that are gun owners. They've gone about it the right way, and they're not out here acting crazy. And most of your gun violence, not all, but a large percentage of the gun violence are people who actually obtain their firearm illegally. Most, not all, but most, who obtain their firearms illegally. And they were already criminals. And they were already a part of the criminal element. Now, we know about, these the mass shootings and things of that nature that have happened, where you've had people, that have gone out and they've purchased firearms, and they've gone out and done some very heinous acts. And some of these people, they're suffering from some form of mental illness. Excuse me. But I know here in Maryland, when you go purchase a firearm, it does ask you have to fill out a form, and it does ask you, hey, have you had any type of, mental health episode? They ask you the question. They do ask you that. And they also let it be known that, hey, if you are caught with this, if you do something, after you've purchased this firearm, knowing that you're suffering from some form of mental illness or something along those lines, you will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. They let you know that. Shout out to my guy Kenny G over at PIStyle.store with the $2 super chat. Super chat. Thank you very much. Says morning ARP fam. As y'all can see, I got my Veteran Strong shirt on today. As you can see, and I rock the shirt. Shout out to my guy Kenny G. If you go to the store over there, PIStyle.store, you can get you one of these shirts. But the reason why I'm rocking this shirt today is because today I found out one of my really good friends, his son has signed up to join the United States military. He is joining the Navy. He is joining to be a part of the 7 or 8% of us, that have served this great nation of ours. I didn't say perfect nation. I said great nation. We understand that America is flawed. We understand that, we have our issues. We understand that. But there's still, and as many countries that I've been, and I've been to a lot of countries, there's no other place that I'd rather be. There's no other country that I'd rather be a citizen of. So I'm rocking this shirt, for him, for my guy, Jaden Francis. I don't know if he's going to watch the show today, but I'm rocking it for him. And, he's decided to take that step, and join and serve our nation. And maybe he only serves one term. And maybe that is the case, but he'll be able to say that, hey, I served our nation. Shout out to Vicky Vale with the $5 super chat. Says, this is John 15:18. If the world hates you, know that it has hated me before it hated you. We don't fix it. Let's stand out. Thank you, Vicky Vale. Thank you. Shout out to my brother AT with the $5 super chat. God bless you, brother. Says, why is it that the regions with the strictest gun control have the most gun violence, like Chicago? Yeah, exactly. Shout out to George Jr. Escoto. Hopefully I pronounced that properly. With the $1 super sticker. Thank you very much. And Terry Cisco with the $5 super sticker. Thank you very much. God bless you guys for supporting the channel. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. Shout out to LJ. Appreciate you, sister. $5 super chat says, God is working. He took Charlie to activate numerous bold Christ warriors. I no longer see it as a mental illness. It's blatant spiritual warfare. Yes, you're absolutely right there. Shout out to Lil Rock with the $5 super chat. Says, Navy Chief, Navy Pride, ITC, retired. Appreciate you, brother. God bless you. And thank you for your service. The youngin', he's going to be a CB, Lord willing. He's going to be a CB. And hey, Dion, we started early because of breaking news, and I wanted to make sure that we were on for the press conference. They were saying 9:30. We're already at 9:32, so hopefully, it will get started here pretty quickly. And I got to shoot an email to my folks real quick. Once we get through, and we'll see how long this goes. I'm not sure if we'll do the panel show today or not, because I know my folks, they got things to do. But we'll see. We'll see. Give me a second here. So y'all hear the. Alrighty. Sorry about that, guys. Kelly Williams said, no wasting time, no bind, warm up old Sparky. Oh my goodness. He's going to get due process. And I would assume that those on the left, they're going to make sure that he gets due process. Dion, Charlie and Tatum, they've been rocking for a long time. I believe their relationship, it goes back. It goes way back. And they're both right around the same age. I mean, I know Tatum's been out here, for a long time, but they're right around the same age. Tatum might be, a few years older, but not by much. Not at all. What's up, Hadassah? How you doing? George Jr. Escaldo says, with the $2 super chat, says, new merch on Turning Point USA before it sell out. I hadn't been on there to see if there's any new merch. I hadn't been on there. What's going on, Sugar Shane? How you doing? How you guys doing, man? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button for me if you haven't done that. What's up, Candace Hall? How you doing? It's good to see you. Appreciate you. All right. Still running a little bit behind. I'm assuming that
Good?
All right, it's looking like it's getting ready to start here in a little bit. They're doing mic checks and things of that nature, just so you guys know. Okay. Yeah, Dion, that's tough to see. When you see, men, crying and things of that nature, man, it's tough to watch. It really is. Let me pull up Newsweek here.
You're right.
So still no official word on the start time. We will try to give at least a 5-minute warning on that, but we'll do our best on that. So
No official word on the start time. They said they're going to try to give a 5-minute warning on when it will start. And just to run through Newsweek here. So just to kind of some information, I'm not sure, if you guys had heard it, but earlier this morning they did mention, and it looks like they might have shut the live blog down, but they said that the weapon, although it hadn't been confirmed, but they're saying it looking like it was a Mauser 30 caliber bolt action rifle wrapped in a towel. If you familiar with the Mauser, it is a serious gun. It's an older weapon. It's been around for a while, but it's a serious weapon. Serious weapon. Says here the FBI pursued more than 7,000 leads, tips, but they said that the shooter was still on the loose, and obviously we know now that individual has been apprehended. At this point. Thank you, 2020 Vision said I saw a spotter. The old man who said shoot me was a distraction. They let him go. If they don't bring those two in for questioning, I'm a bit skeptical. I would assume that they're going to get everybody that's involved in this. And there were some videos that came out. I was sent a message yesterday. Shout out to B, and I got a chance to watch it. And you could see people giving signs and signatures, signs and giving signs. There was a person standing like right behind them videotaping. So yeah, it's crazy. There's more than just the shooter involved in this. You can count on it. There's more. They just released the suspect's name. Let me see if I can find that real fast. Tim Aiken with the $5 super chat says teachers in South Carolina are being held accountable and fired for hateful posts about his death. We need more accountability like this. Yeah, you're seeing people getting fired left and right. From showing their hatefulness. They're showing their true colors. But this situation has really been it's really starting to showcase a lot of the evil, wicked people that we have out here in our country. And what we do understand is that a lot of these people, they're extremely prideful individuals. They are people that they want to be seen. They are, some would say they're somewhat narcissist type individuals. And there's a lot of people that have jumped online immediately to celebrate, to show their pleasure, in the demise, of young Charlie Kirk. And they are suffering the consequences behind it. Again, you have free will to do whatever it is that you want to do. You have free will to do so. You don't get to choose your consequences, though. You don't get to choose your consequences. We have free will to do whatever it is that you want to do. You want to jump on the internet and tell everybody your business. You don't get to choose how people perceive you, and you don't get to choose the consequences from your employer and others. You don't get to do it. Yeah, Stills is one of them. There's a bunch of them. Okay, so they said the guy's name is Tyler Robinson. I got to get on. I'm talking to y'all and I'm not typing. Alrighty, here we go. Hey, said the individual is a 22-year-old. Get into this article real fast. So who is Tyler Robinson? Charlie Kirk shooter is identified as a 22-year-old Utah student. Sorry about that. Just want to make sure I keep my eyes. If you guys can keep your eyes on the press conference for me. But it says here, Tyler Robinson was identified as the alleged shooting suspect who shot conservative commentator and Trump ally Charlie Kirk at the Utah Valley University, as reported by the New York Post. This comes after the president announced that the suspect of Kirk's shooting has been caught. The shooter was reportedly arrested at 11 p.m. last night on September 11th. Earlier today, President Donald Trump said that the suspect involved in the shooting of Charlie Kirk is now in custody with a high degree of certainty. So this is someone who has been obviously radicalized. President Trump, he said, I heard that the suspect was in custody just 5 minutes before he walked in. Trump stated that he praised the local authorities for their quick response, noting everybody worked together and it worked out. Suspect in the killing of Charlie Kirk is 28 or 29 years old, according to President Trump. And as reported by NBC, a family member saw the photos of the suspect and reported him to police. Two senior law enforcement officials say. Trump also confirmed that further updates on the case would be provided later in the day. So we got a name, we got an age, we have an understanding of who this individual is. And, thank God they caught this dude. Thankfully, they caught him. We'll be here when the press conference starts. We will be here when the press conference starts. Again, for those that are, was looking forward to the panel show today, I'm not for certain that that's going to happen today. I'm not for certain. The name was Tyler Robinson. For those of you guys that missed it, Tyler Robinson is the shooter's name, 28 to 29-year-old male that they say was a Utah student. They aren't saying which particular college in Utah, because obviously there's a few out there. You have Utah Valley, you have LS. His family wasn't in town. They actually flew out there to obviously receive his body, but his wife and children were not in Utah when this happened. And none of his family members, I guess they don't travel with him, in that manner. But they were not there. They did fly out to, meet with him, and they did. And I don't know if you guys saw the video, but I'm not sure if you guys saw the video, but they did bring his casket, and Vice President J.D. Vance was there with the family to, get the family back, or bring his remains, back home. Yeah, I think a lot of people thought that he would probably delete himself, the shooter. I think a lot of people thought that he would do that. beforehand. I would assume that they are going to keep him on, self-harm watch while he's in custody. I'm for certain that he's probably stripped of everything, no belts, no nothing that could be used to harm himself. I'm almost for certain that is going to be the case. I'm almost for certain that that's going to be the case. Excuse me. Shout out to Kelly Williams with the $10 super chat. Says, I made my first deer kill with almost the same conditions. 3006 bolt action, scope downhill, 190 yards, breathing off from hiking. Only practice was setting scope. He wasn't some kind of pro. Yeah, I think a lot of people thought that this was, some trained assassin type individual. There was a lot of people out there that thought that was the case. But I said this the other day, that a shot like this, not that difficult of a shot when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, especially with the technology, in the scopes today. And anybody that has ever gone hunting or actually gone shooting and things of that nature, I think you would know that. I think most of us would know if you've ever gone hunting or if you've ever, gone to the range, and shot weapons, especially, long range with scopes and things of that nature. With the technology today, it's just, it makes things like this really easy in this day and age. Yep, they're doing mic checks. We're gonna pull it up. We're gonna have it ready to go. Pull it back down right now. But appreciate you guys pulling up this morning. Not sure if you've had your coffee this morning. As you guys know, I'm always I'm sipping on my 10 mushroom coffee. Thank you guys for pulling up this morning and hanging out with me. And please hit the like button. Listen to Zephyr. Hit that like button. Share the stream. Subscribe to the channel. Appreciate you guys. Thank you guys very much for pulling up and just rocking with us for a little bit this morning. Thank you, Glenn Luthi. I appreciate that. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you guys, man. Hey, Dr. Kyla, how you doing this morning? It's good to see you this morning. For those that normally watch the show, y'all know we normally do this Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, ARP in the morning. Come check us out. If this is your first time being here, come check us out. One of the livest chats, one of the nicest chats out there. Yes, we discuss what's going on politically, but we're always looking at what's going on politically and what's going on in our country. We're looking at it through a biblical lens. We're always going to lean back to the Word of God. That's where we are, here in this channel. It's called A Righteous Perspective for a reason, because we want to, not just look at the world through our own understanding and vision, but I like to look at what's going on in the world, through the Word of God. So, if you are, interested in that, come check us out, man. Appreciate you guys pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. Absolutely. Marla, thank you. Family absolutely matters. It definitely does. Oh my goodness. Who is that? Papa Di said, yo, I agree with you, Papa Di. I agree with you. Yeah. Don't let the same people that were watching Epstein, don't let them guard this particular individual. I'm there. I think somebody said that that he will probably be in a pickle suit, or he's probably currently in a pickle suit right now. I would assume that would be the case as well, to just keep him, from harming himself. It does sound like his own family members turned him in. It sounded like it was his father that turned him in. That saw as soon as they got the picture out there. It sounds like his father is the one that got the word out to the U.S. Marshals, and they were able to pick him up and apprehend this guy. A lot of people thought that he would be caught pretty quickly. It would be difficult for him to get out of the state of Utah, just with the way the terrain is set up in the state of Utah. I'm not real familiar with Utah and its terrain and its highways and how it works. I've never been to Utah before. My son is going out there. I've never been to Utah before, so I'm not real familiar with the terrain out there in Utah. But just from conversations or things that I had been listening to, they were saying that it would be extremely difficult for this individual to get out of the state of Utah and go on a run. That was the word, on the street. And as soon as all the information, and I kind of said it too, if this dude doesn't off himself when those pictures came out, I was thinking in my mind, it's not going to be long before this guy is caught. It's not going to be long before this guy is caught. And I would assume that he's not really built like that. So everybody that was involved in this situation, I'm assuming that he's going to tell on everybody. He's going to tell on everybody. And there's probably going to be, 3-4 people probably or more, fall behind this as well. You can almost count on that. Excuse me. Yeah, we're still waiting on the press conference. We're still waiting on the press conference. I mean, I know they said initially 9 o'clock and then they said 9:30. They did say that they would give us a 3 to 5 minute heads up before things would kick off. But, we'll sit here and thank you, Bo Booth, for pulling up, man. Appreciate you. That's first time in the chat. Good work, brother. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. Thank you very much, man. Come check us out. We're here. We do this Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come check us out. Yeah, there's a lot of video out there, of this individual. And there were actually some people that had video of the individual up there before he pulled the trigger. Now, my issue with that is that if you see something along those lines, how do you not find the first or closest law enforcement police officer out there and say, hey, there's somebody up on the roof and it doesn't look right, especially with everything that has transpired over the previous year, with the assassination attempt on the president. I don't understand why, when you see this and you take video, why don't you go and find somebody? Start spreading the word. Hey, there is someone on the roof. Michael Mahone says, stay awake, stay aware. I pray eyes and ears are open. I live in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I love it here. Knoxville brethren. All right, they're starting the press conference in 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Shout out to my Knoxville brethren. Shout out to you, brother. If you knew, or maybe you don't know, maybe you're new here. That is, one of my home states. I was actually born in Knoxville, Tennessee, lived there for 10 or 11 years. I still go there. I was actually just there over the summer, man. Go Vols. Go Big Orange. Appreciate you, Ray. Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much, Ray Gallardo. Appreciate you. Thank you, Lori. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Hunter asks, is the pickle suit a straight jacket? Let me double check that. Not 100% a straight jacket, but it's no, it's not really a straight jacket. It's more like just a gown type it looks more like a gown, I guess. But it's also supposed to keep people from harming themselves. I can show y'all what it looked like. Let me see if I can, who can I pull up here? That's not it. Here we go. Give me a second. This is it. This is what they call a pickle suit. All right, so we're a few minutes out for the press conference. So appreciate you guys hanging in there and bearing with me. I know we've been on here an hour. Initially, they said that this thing would start at 9, you know, but you know how these things go. You know, we get there, we hurry up, and we wait. That's how it goes. I know for a lot of folks, man, it's been a rough couple of days for a lot of folks. But, you know, I'm glad to hear that the culprit, the suspect, this individual has been caught. And it was his own family. It was his own family that turned him in. Like it was his father that turned him in. Jimmy said he's moving to Kentucky next month. Okay. Took a trip last year and loved it, decided to move there. Okay, we're at in Kentucky, Jimmy. Oh yeah. Hey Ed, the technology, period, from the FBI, from the military, I mean, even that we have access to. Think about what we have access to right now, tech-wise. I mean, you can get on and pinpoint somebody's house and, you know, all types of things. What's going on, Mike C? How you doing? Good to see you, Maga Tamara. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Appreciate you all. What's up, Kristen Knight? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. What's going on, Malachi? How you doing this morning, brother? Be safe out there on the road. $2 super chat. Good morning. Welcome to the ARP. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate that. Eric Smith says, yeah, rocky terrain, narrow creek bottoms and valleys. You know, only flat parts are the salt flats in Salt Lake area. Okay. Thank you, Deb by Dawn, man. I appreciate that. What's up, Quincy? How you doing this morning, brother? Good to see you. Appreciate you pulling up this morning, man. Thank you. Looks like the press conference is going to kick off here in about, they said 4 minutes, maybe about a minute ago, so probably about 3 minutes. And, you know, so we're a few minutes out, you know, at this point, and, you know, we'll let this thing play out. I appreciate you guys pulling up this morning. If you haven't hit the like button, please do so. If you haven't shared the stream, please do that as well. If you're watching on X, thank you very much. Appreciate you pulling up. If you could repost the stream on X, that would be greatly appreciated as well. Thank you guys very much, man. God bless you all. Appreciate you. Yeah, Hoot Owl, I saw that video as well. Again, I hadn't done anything with it because I wasn't for sure, you know, if it was real, and I wasn't for sure what to make of it, but I did see the video. There was somebody standing right next to him videotaping with the phone, and there was somebody also giving some hand signals and things of that nature as well. You know, Ed asked, why doesn't security watch roofs and building windows? That's a good question. I do know that Charlie went out there. Every time he would go, he'd have his own security. He would have that, but, you know, he's not an elected official. He's not a a political candidate, and typically you'll get physical security, but they typically aren't on top of buildings and doing things of that nature. So typically not the case, but maybe that will change. Maybe that will change. I would assume that these types of debates. I know Officer Tatum had been a part of those debates via Turning Point USA on different college campuses and things of that nature. I would assume that those things aren't going away, but I would also assume that they will take some better precautions there when it comes to securing not just the individual and the perimeter around where the talk is happening and where the conversations are happening, but also around the windows and the buildings and things of that nature. And maybe they strategically place these types of conversations in certain areas, or maybe they bring them indoors. Who knows? I saw that Glenna B about the book that was on Amazon that was released the day before, which I find interesting. Again, I'm not for certain if that, because I just watched that this morning. I'm not for sure if that's real, if that's a real thing. I'm not for sure, but when I watched the video, they did say that it was uploaded on September 9th, which is interesting. What's going on, Janine? How you doing? Central New York in the building. Appreciate you. Hey, Sugar Shane, I'm with you, man. Why not say something? Nah, I think that hey, Chris, that no snitch thing, that's fake. All of these dudes are telling. Even the hardest dudes that will tell you that they won't tell, they're telling. Hey, Ed, he said, why as a volunteer? I am from the volunteer state, man. I was born in the volunteer state. Moved to Georgia when I was, I guess 6th grade going to 7th. Nashville is nice, man. Nashville's a nice town, man. My sister used to live out there. Nashville's nice. Papa Dad said Tennessee ain't South Kakalaki. I like South Carolina, man. I like the Greenville area a lot. Myrtle Beach is pretty nice, but I like the Greenville area a lot. It's really nice out there, man. It's just the taxes. Y'all got to get that. If y'all can get the taxes under order, if y'all can get that in control, it would be a really nice place to live in. It's just that progressive tax I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of the progressive tax, man. I like the flat tax. Just across the board, that would be the preference. That's what they have in Georgia. In Georgia, there's just a flat tax. Although the progressive tax in South Carolina is not that terrible, but Eric said he just can't get into Tennessee. That's because you're a city boy. You a city boy, Eric. You've gotten used to DC, and I know from out there in Idaho and things of that nature, but you've gotten used to DC. You know it. Libido74, appreciate you with the $10 super chat, says this turd stayed alive to push more divisive political garbage. Who knows? Who knows? I am. It looks like the press conference is about to
Good morning,
start.
ladies and gentlemen. At today's press conference, we will hear from Governor Cox, FBI Director Kash Patel, and Sheriff Mike Smith. We also have with us Utah DPS Commissioner Bo Mason, Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson, FBI Special Agent in Charge Robert Bowles, and local and federal law enforcement partners. Following the remarks today, Governor Cox, Director Patel, and Commissioner Mason will take questions. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at Utah Valley University. This information was also conveyed to the FBI. Investigators reviewed additional video footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 a.m. on September 10th, in which he is observed on video in a plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light-colored shoes. When encountered in person by investigators in Washington County on September 12th in the early morning hours, Robinson was observed in consistent clothing with those surveillance images. Investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th, and in the conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. The family member also confirmed Robinson had a gray Dodge Challenger. Investigators identified an individual as the roommate of Robinson. Investigators interviewed that roommate, who stated that his roommate, referring to Robinson, made a joke on Discord. Investigators asked if he would show them the messages on Discord. He opened it and showed several messages to investigators and allowed investigators to take photos of the screen as each message was shown by Robinson's roommate. These photos consisted of various messages, including content of messages between the phone contact named Tyler with an emoji icon and Robinson's roommate's device. The content of these messages included messages affiliated with the contact Tyler, stating a need to retrieve a rifle from a drop point, leaving the rifle in a bush, messages related to visually watching the area where a rifle was left, and a message referring to having left the rifle wrapped in a towel. The messages also refer to engraving bullets and a mention of a scope and the rifle being unique. Messages from the contact Tyler also mentioned that he had changed outfits. I know there's been speculation as well as to the writing on those casings, those bullet casings, and I believe we have that as well. And I will share that with you now. So the area north of Campus Drive Road where the suspect crossed over, you saw some of that in the video that we released last night, consists of a grassy area with trees on the edge of the UVU campus. Investigators discovered a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a dark-colored towel. The rifle was determined to be a Mauser Model 98 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle. The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it. Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices, bulges, capital OWO, what's this, question mark." Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist, exclamation point, catch, exclamation point." Up arrow symbol, right arrow and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow," and a third unfired casing read, "If you read this, you are gay, LMAO." We are indebted to law enforcement across the state who has worked seamlessly together, local law enforcement, state law enforcement, and our federal partners with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We're grateful for everyone who worked together in such a short amount of time to find this person and to bring justice. I want to thank the public who has been so engaged, reviewing videos, helping us with sending in tips and helping us get to this point. I want to thank the family members of Tyler Robinson who did the right thing in this case and were able to bring him into to law enforcement as well. I especially want to thank the family of Charlie Kirk, Erica, Charlie's parents, his children. I want us to be thinking of them as we bring justice in this case. They will be involved in that justice. We will be working very closely with them as we move through this process as well. This is a very sad day for our country, a terrible day for the state of Utah, but I'm grateful that at this moment we have an opportunity to bring closure to this very dark chapter in our nation's history. With that, I will now turn the microphone over to the Director of the FBI, Kash Patel.
Thank you, Governor. This is what happens when you let good cops be cops. The FBI and our partners are proud to stand here today together to bring justice to the family of Charlie Kirk and honor his memory. I want to express my deep gratitude to President Trump, the Vice President, and the entire White House who have been so incredibly supportive with both resources and just personally to the FBI as a team. They had our backs the entire way, and I just want to express my gratitude for giving us the resources we need to operate in this space to bring this sort of justice at this sort of speed. In 33 hours, we have made historic progress for Charlie. Governor Cox, our partnership has been absolutely incredible these last few days. Our partnership will endure. Your state and local partners, your sheriffs, your DPS community has been unbelievably impressive in the hardest of times. And a case like this cannot be solved, cannot be brought without partnering with your state and local authorities. The FBI has a certain role to play, and we will play that role, and we will lead out for the federal government. But Governor Cox, we are so grateful for your state partnership that led out on this investigation. A little bit of the timeline. Charlie was shot at 12:23 p.m. on Wednesday. The first FBI agents arrived on scene in 16 minutes with chiefs of police at 12:39 and secured the scene. The FBI immediately launched fixed-wing assets. We utilized these assets to transport personnel, specialty technicians, hostage rescue teams. We also utilized these assets to go back and forth from the East Coast and here in Utah to transport forensic evidence and other evidence that will be analyzed and is being analyzed at our FBI laboratories in Quantico and other laboratories, including the ATF. At my direction, the FBI released the first set of FBI photos of the suspect at 10 a.m. local time on 9/11. Then, shortly thereafter, the FBI reward of $100,000 was released at 10:45 a.m. local. Myself and Deputy Director Bongino arrived on the scene at approximately 5:30 p.m. on 9/11. The governor led a press conference last night at approximately 8 p.m. where at my direction, the FBI released a never-before-seen video of the suspect. We also released new images to the public of the suspect. And just last night, the suspect was taken into custody at 10 p.m. local time. In less than 36 hours, 33 to be precise, thanks to the full weight of the federal government and leading out with the partners here in the state of Utah and Governor Cox, the suspect was apprehended in a historic time period. And I want to highlight what Governor Cox said. This would not have been possible without you, the media, and you, the public. That's why we went so public, so fast, and we're so transparent, and we're committed to that transparency. The crime scene, just a little bit there. It is a large crime scene. State and local authorities, along with federal authorities, processed that crime scene quickly. And I even had the ability to walk through that crime scene and walk through the steps the suspect took to learn more about what was needed and what resources we needed to bear to create a full picture for the FBI and leadership back in Washington. Furthermore, thankfully to state and local partners, forensic evidence has been seized and continues to be garnered. Forensic evidence has already been evaluated at FBI laboratories in Quantico and state and local authorities here. We will continue to process evidence as we see it, as we collect it, and we will continue to deliver to Governor Cox and his team. Last night, we had a total of approximately 7,000 7,000 leads. As of this morning, thanks to your great work, we have over 11,000 leads that were called in to the FBI. And we are running out every single lead that we can. Every one of those leads will be run out. The arrest is a testament to the dedication of good law enforcement being great, and partnerships in law enforcement, which I've tried to highlight as my tenure as the director of the FBI. There is no better relationship for law enforcement than the FBI to partner with state and local authorities, and you've seen it here in these last few days. The FBI Salt Lake Field Office, along with our offices in LA, Phoenix, Denver, San Antonio, Las Vegas, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, our headquarters component in Quantico, all participate in the FBI. I want to express my deep gratitude to the employees of the FBI, the men and women, the evidence response team tacticians, the special operators, the agents, the support staff. You have done monumental work in historic time when the public, who had a right to demand such an expeditious solving of an investigation, the FBI answered that call diligently, critically important to our nation, and we delivered. And I'm proud to be their leader, and I'm proud to be the director of the FBI. This is very much an ongoing investigation, as the governor said, and we will continue to work with state and local authorities to develop the investigation, to provide them the evidence they need for their ongoing prosecutions, and we will be here to answer every call they absolutely have, as long as it takes, for as long as we need to find and apprehend whatever suspects were involved in this crime. Lastly, to my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
Thank you, and good morning. I would just like to take a few minutes as the sheriff to express my gratitude for everybody who has played a part in this investigation. As you know, it's been a vast, a complicated, and a very, very fast-paced investigation. You're looking at people standing up here who are running on, if they got an hour's sleep in the last couple of days, they're probably lucky. It has been very taxing. It has been so impressive, speaking on behalf of the local law enforcement, to see the cooperation that we've seen in this type of case. Across the state, sheriffs, chiefs, our state partners have stepped up and have come to the call on anything that we needed. Our county chiefs have been phenomenal. Our Utah County Attorney, Jeff Gray, who's standing up here with us, has been phenomenal in leading us through this investigation. I would like to thank the federal government for their resources, their assets. Our local team here, our FBI team, has been extraordinary in helping us work through this and bring this person to justice. Most of all, I would like to thank the public, and specifically, I would like to thank the public who turned to prayers and who turned to positiveness for us. I would like to thank them on behalf of the law enforcement community, because we needed those prayers. That's what we needed to get through this. We needed your support, and you gave it to us. We needed your patience, and you gave it to us. And I would like to thank you for the Kirk family, because that's what they need, is your support and your prayers, and that will get us through all of this. So thank you, everybody, for everybody that have stepped up. We've had such a phenomenal response to this. Thank you.
I also want to give a special thanks to the Attorney General and the Department of Justice. Their unwavering support and their commitment to justice is shown true here. And without AG Bondi and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and the resources they brought to bear, we would not have been able to complete our mission. And I just want to say special thanks. It's an honor to be a part of the Department of Justice.
Thank you again to our incredible law enforcement team who has worked so hard. Sheriff, I got a solid 90 minutes last night, so I'm probably the most well-rested person up here. Ladies and gentlemen, I get the microphone, so I hope you'll permit me a moment just to share a few more thoughts about where we are and how we got here, and maybe a little bit of where we go from here. I don't want to get too preachy, but I think it's important that we, with eyes wide open, understand what's happening in our country today. I've heard people say, well, why are we so invested in this? There's violence happening all across our country, and violence is tragic everywhere. And every life taken is a child of God who deserves our love and respect and dignity. This is certainly about the tragic death, political assassination of Charlie Kirk. But it is also much bigger than an attack on an individual. It is an attack on all of us. It is an attack on the American experiment. It is an attack on our ideals. This cuts to the very foundation of who we are, of who we have been, and who we could be in better times. Political violence is different than any other type of violence for lots of different reasons. One, because in the very act that Charlie championed of expression, that freedom of expression that is enshrined in our founding documents, in having his life taken in that very act, makes it more difficult for people to feel like they can share their ideas, that they can speak freely. We will never be able to solve all the other problems, including the violence problems that people are worried about, if we can't have a clash of ideas safely and securely. Even, especially those ideas with which you disagree. That's why this matters so much. Over the last 48 hours, I have been as angry as I have ever been, as sad as I have ever been. And it was, as anger pushed me to the brink, it was actually Charlie's words that pulled me back. I'd like to share some of those. And specifically right now, if I could, I need to talk to the young people in our state, in my state, and all across the country. As President Trump reminded me, he said, you know who really loved Charlie? The youths. And he's right. Young people loved Charlie, and young people hated Charlie. And Charlie went into those places anyway. And these are the words that have helped me. Charlie said, when people stop talking, that's when you get violence. He said, the weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. The only way out of the labyrinth of suffering is to forgive. Welcome without judgment, love without condition, forgive without limit. He said, always forgive your enemies. Nothing annoys them so much. A few months ago, I referenced this last night, Charlie posted to social media, when things are moving very fast and people are losing their minds, it's important to stay grounded. Turn off your phone, read scripture, spend time with friends, and remember, internet fury is not real life. It's going to be okay. He again said, when you stop having a human connection with someone you disagree with, it becomes a lot easier to commit violence. He said, what we as a culture have to get back to is being able to have a reasonable agreement, where violence is not an option. Now, again, to my young friends out there, you are inheriting a country where politics feels like rage. It feels like rage is the only option. But through those words, we have a reminder that we can choose a different path. Your generation has an opportunity to build a culture that is very different than what we are suffering through right now. not by pretending differences don't matter, but by embracing our differences and having those hard conversations. I think we need more moral clarity right now. I hear all the time that words are violence. Words are not violence. Violence is violence. And there is one person responsible for what happened here. And that person is now in custody and will be charged soon and will be held accountable. And yet, all of us have an opportunity right now to do something different. I want to thank my fellow Utahns. You know, this bad stuff happens. For 33 hours, I was praying that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us, that somebody drove from another state, somebody came from another country. Sadly, that prayer was not answered the way I had hoped for, just because I thought it would make it easier on us if we could just say, hey, we don't do that here. And indeed, Utah is a special place. We lead the nation in charitable giving. We lead the nation in service every year. But it did happen here. And it was one of us. But I want you to look at how Utahns reacted the last 2 nights. There was no rioting. There was no looting. There were no cars set on fire. There was no violence. There were vigils and prayers and people coming together to share the humanity. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I believe is the answer to this. We can return violence with violence. We can return hate with hate. And that's the problem with political violence, is it metastasizes, because we can always point the finger at the other side. And at some point, we have to find an off-ramp, or it's going to get much, much worse. But see, these are choices that we can make. History will dictate if this is a turning point for our country. But every single one of us gets to choose right now if this is a turning point for us. We get to make decisions. We have our agency. And I desperately call on every American, Republican, Democrat, liberal, progressive, conservative, MAGA, all of us to please, please, please follow what Charlie taught me. I'll just conclude with words I share often from a friend and author, Yuval Levin, who was asked if he was optimistic about our country, and he said, "I'm not optimistic." He said, "I hate optimism." Like, that sounds bad. But he said, optimism is a vice. It's this idea that good things are just going to happen. And he said, in the history of the world, good things have never just happened. He says, I'm not optimistic, but I am hopeful. And hope is the virtue that sits between the vices of optimism and pessimism. Hope is the idea that good things are going to happen because we can make them so. I still believe in our country. And I know Charlie Kirk believed in our country. I still believe that there is more good among us than evil. And I still believe that we can change the course of history. I'm hopeful because Americans can make it so. Ladies and gentlemen, we're happy to answer any questions you might have.
Governor, please speak to whether the suspect is speaking with authorities and his demeanor, Tyler Robinson, when he turned himself in.
I cannot speak to that right now.
Governor, how do you interpret the engravings on casing?
Well, I will leave that up to you to interpret what those engravings mean. I think the clearest one that says "catch fascist," there's not, and by the way, that's like catch like a ball, catch this. That's I think that speaks for itself.
Governor, you indicated that he had been communicating.
There's nothing more that we can share at this time.
Governor,
Yeah,
you
please.
indicated that he had been communicating with a friend on Discord about the gun. Do you anticipate any more arrests?
We do not at this time have any information that would lead to any additional arrests.
Do you believe he acted alone?
Yes, but the investigation is ongoing.
How he came into custody of police and where he is right now?
Yes. So right now, Mr. Robinson has been booked into the Utah County Jail. You heard the president this morning report that he was taken into custody. That his family and a friend helped to deliver him into custody of law enforcement in Washington County. For those of you that don't know where Washington County is, it is the southwesternmost part of the state of Utah. It's about a 3.5 to 4 hour drive from here, where we are right now, and that's where he lived and where they turned him in. Please, go here. I can't share any more than what I've already shared. Yeah. So how we obtained the gun was found here. So I don't have much more details on that. We do know that he drove. We had his car here on campus, and then we had his car going south back to the St. George. It's actually the city of Washington in Washington County.
Is he talking with authorities and did he discuss a loading?
I'm sorry? We don't have any information that would lead us to believe that. Yes, in fact, it was just released. Yes.
Talking with authorities and did he discuss a motive?
I can't answer that right now. Yeah, thank you. Over here. I absolutely believe that this is a watershed in American history. Yes. The question is, what kind of watershed? And that chapter remains to be written. Is this the end of a dark chapter in our history, or the beginning of a darker chapter in our history? Look, I mean, if you look at true political assassinations in this country of someone of this stature, this feels a lot like the late 60s, and having one so gruesomely displayed on camera in all of our hands and in all of our pockets. We are not wired as human beings biologically, historically. We have not evolved in a way that we are capable of processing those types of violent imagery. And by the way, we've seen another one with a gruesome stabbing very recently that went viral. This is not good for us. It is not good to consume. Social media is a cancer on our society right now. And I would encourage people to log off, turn off, touch grass, hug a family member, go out and do good in your community. That is happening, and it's happening organically right now. I had a friend in a small city in Utah who said, we're getting together, the Republicans and Democrats in my little town are getting together to have a discussion last night, just to find a way to find their better angels. So yes, this could be, I mean, again, you have to go back to JFK to have seen a video live of something like this happening. I wasn't born until 1975, but I know that things were really dark in the late 60s. Sorry to some of you. I know some of you were there. But this is our moment. Do we escalate, or do we find an off-ramp? And again, it's a choice. It's a choice, and every one of us gets to make that choice. Two more questions right here.
Could we clarify that the release of those enhanced images at 8 p.m., the timeline that Director Patel gave us, led to the arrest at 10 p.m.? Is there a direct connection between those two events?
I cannot comment if there is a direct connection or not, but all I can say is that through some process, the family came to know that this had happened.
One more thing, Governor. Could you just clarify the clothing issue you mentioned earlier? Was he changing outfits?
Correct. Yes. So when he's first spotted on campus, he has different clothing on, and then he changes clothing on the roof, and then changed back into that clothing at some point, so that when he was apprehended, when he was arrested, the clothing matched the clothing he had on before the shooting here at UVU. Last question here. Yes.
Suspect was from Utah. Can you kind of tell us a little bit more about where, and was he a student here at the university, and is there any history of mental illness?
Yeah. So. I don't have any information on the mental illness part. He was not a student here at UVU. He was living and had lived for a long time with his family in Washington County, in the southernmost part of our state. Thank you, everyone, for your great work in getting this information out. I just say, process-wise, this may be important. I know many of you aren't familiar with the process in Utah. I think it's important that you understand that basically we have 3 days for charging documents to be filed. A CI will be filed. We'll have more information then, more detailed information as those charging documents are filed in preparation for a preliminary hearing. So 3 days. So we would anticipate then that early next week those charging documents will be filed. We will obviously be working. The county attorney will be working very closely with Mr. Kirk's family as those documents and decisions are prepared and made. Thanks, everyone.
Oh man. Ooh-wee. A lot of information to digest, man. A lot of information to digest here. Hopefully I'll have a couple of my people pull up, to discuss this. Wow. The governor's speech was awesome. The governor's speech was awesome. Spot on. Spot on. Wow. I do ask that you guys keep it PG, keep it peaceful, keep it clean in the chat. What's going on, TA? Appreciate you pulling up. Give me a second here. Yeah, I got a couple folks that are going to pull up here. Appreciate you guys, man. And while I'm here and while I'm waiting on them to pull up, I am going to got a couple super chats I want to read. And go in here. We'll start right here. All right. 2020 Vision. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Because I saw Spotter, the old man who said shoot me, was a distraction. Thank you. I think I read that one already. Thank you to yeah, read that one too. All righty. All right, here we go. Thank you, William Williams, for joining the ARP family. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much. Hey, Crystal, I sent out a new link. Appreciate you as well. With our super chat. Appreciate you pulling up. Says God is so amazing. Prayers answered. Thank you. Testify with the $2 super chat. Says good morning. You look good. Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you. For Country First with the $5 super chat says I really enjoy your outlook. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Kenny Cooper with the $2 super chat says wow, his own dad turned him in. Pray for the family. Yeah, his own father turned him in. That $100,000 is probably going to go a long ways for that family. I would assume that they'll probably spend that money on legal defense. I would assume that would be my assumption. Shout out to Quincy James with the $5 super chat says I'd like to start a company that could provide augmentees to plus up the number of security team, at events like this. Hey, there are some opportunities. Find a business, find a need, feel the need. Yeah, there's some business opportunities out there. I think somebody mentioned that yesterday as well. Appreciate you, AT brother, with the $5 super chat. Says proves the point about mental health. May this young man repent of his hate and violence. Now we know it's because he simply didn't disagree. Yeah. Thank you, Mike C, for the $5 super chat. Says imagine turning your son in, knowing he could get the death penalty. His father has strong moral character. Powerful. Yeah. I want to bring my folks in here. I got a couple people down bottom. I'm waiting for Mr. Danzel to pull up as well. I just spoke him up. Appreciate you guys for pulling up this morning. And I tried to send an email out right around, I think I sent one out about 9:30. So my apologies, Celeste and Minister Danzel. I'm gonna pull him up as well because I know you guys were, on the other link. But as soon as I got the message that I was like, oh, they got this guy, I immediately created a new link. And, I was on here and I had been on here since probably about 9 o'clock this morning, actually maybe slightly before 9, maybe 8, because they said the press conference was going to start at 9. And I think I might have been on here about 8:55. So, and I did not want to miss this. I didn't want to miss it at all. So I appreciate you guys pulling up and appreciate you guys, your flexibility, in this. But wow. Hunter, we'll let you go because, I appreciate you, always supporting the channel and pulling up, as always. Where you can go with it wherever you want to go. Thoughts on, the new, updates, in the Charlie Kirk case.
Absolutely, and I thank you for having me on today. Thank God they found him. They got him. Because I was sitting there looking, I'm like, they got so much evidence right now. It's just like, it's like a puzzle that's waiting to be put together. And it's like, they have it all there. And it's just a matter of time. And I'm sitting here thinking, surely, given how young this guy is, because he looked small when we saw the clips of him, I was sitting there thinking, surely he's got family around. He's probably one of them young kids that have been indoctrinated by the left and brainwashed and all that. So I'm sitting there thinking, like, hopefully his family's not like him. And thank God his family isn't. Mm-hmm. That his dad did the right thing and turned him in. I think I saw something about where some people may be going at his parents' house and doing some protesting or attacking him on social media. Don't do that. Please don't do that, guys. Like, they did the right thing turning him in. I know it's going to be hard on them. It's going to be hard on anybody in this situation, but let's not stoop to the other side's low. We just thank them, have them in our prayers, and as they get through this hard time as well, just like the Kirks, they're going through hell right now, losing Charlie. But yeah.
And the kids, I don't think they understand it. He has younger children, so I don't even think they really understand, what has transpired, what has happened. My wife, she lost her father when, I guess she was maybe 1 or 2 years old or so. She was really, really young as well. And she doesn't have any memories, of him, other than the fact that she knows, she wasn't there, or he wasn't there, with her in her upbringing. Minister Danzel, you can go wherever you want to go with this.
I'm trying not to start too much fire too early in the podcast.
Please don't.
However, I want to say this about our Black brothers and sisters that are on social media, and I'm talking about some of the prominent ones who are doing the same thing that the other crazy leftists are doing, and trying to target him, my brother Charlie, as the reason for his own demise. And this is a good example to help us see how dangerous being programmed to think one way without being able to think critically, and how dangerous it is for these young people. My concern is that when you look at the way that these Black brothers and sisters are talking, you can see that their ethnicity is more important to them than truth. And they are so hyped on the color of their own skin that they refuse to think rationally. And so they're cherry picking statements that Charlie made that were, if you look at the context, they made sense. but they're taking the cherry-picked comments and they're plastering them everywhere to make it seem like, as their general modus operandi is, that he was a racist, and that he was. So my point is that we have to retaliate against this kind of misrepresentation. And I think Sister Celeste, we were on a podcast recently where she talked about their inability to. It's not that we disagree; it's that they don't want truth to be the standard, because they have their own philosophy and they want to push their philosophy. If we do not respond with instant, intelligent refutation, we help to continue the programming of these people that are out there hating people for dumb reasons. So I'm hoping that we will really take the time to start refuting these people efficiently and exposing their irrationality that has led to this kind of situation. Last thing I want to say is that, and we'll probably get into this later on, I did post it in the suggestions you gave us, that there were evidences that some people knew this was going to happen before it happened. A book was published about him being assassinated on Amazon the day before. Articles in major press were published, or statements, headlines, the day before. This is what I'm hearing. So we have to understand that this is not just some simple thing going on, that we are dealing with evil and just twisted thinking. And it is our responsibility to maintain our decorum, to be kind, to be loving, but to never give up on exposing truth and holding those who do things that cause this kind of thing to happen accountable for what they say.
Appreciate that, Minister Danzel. Celeste, I know you want to get in there, so I'll give you the go ahead.
Well, good morning, and I'm sure, like millions of others, we are joyful that the assassin has been caught, but I am also sad because in the midst of this, 2 lives have been lost.
That's right.
First of all, the life of Charlie Kirk, who meant so much to so many, me included. I said before that I'm struck at how sad I was when I watched that video. It was horrifying. And also this young man, 22 years old, life in front of him. That life is forever altered, if not lost. And it is, we have to acknowledge the truth here. At the center of both of these lives is the absolute destructiveness of the left. Amen. The left is at the center of this. On the part of Charlie Kirk for bravely going out and speaking vigilantly, with love, with compassion, to the destructive ideologies of the left, and then to his assassin, someone who seems to have embodied the ideologies of the left and motivated, in at least in part, if not totally, in this action. And I think, as me, at least as a Black conservative and understanding Black history, I've long been aware that the destruction and the struggle of Black people is inextricably linked to our engagement with the left. When we have lived our lives apart from them, we have flourished. When we engage with them, we go down. Our consequences are disastrous. Yep. But I'm realizing now that same phenomena is happening with the broader society and with the white society as well. White people, like Black people, like Asian people, like Latino people, need to be very concerned about how much exposure we are giving our children to the left and their destructive ideologies. And it just makes me sad all around.
Yeah, thank you, Celeste. I appreciate that. Crystal, what are your thoughts?
You know, I was taken to the Bible, my dear brother, which is, this is spiritual warfare at its highest. This is true spiritual warfare. This young man is 22 years old. I was just saying on my TikTok group, I was letting them know at 22 years old, I was a new mom. I was busy trying to figure out what I want to do in life, how I want to live. My friends who were not moms, they were out there planning to travel the world and do all of these things. The indoctrination that is coming out daily, the hateful rhetoric that is coming out daily, that is all the devil needs, is a foothold in people's lives. The minute people start moving this place of hatefulness, as Minister Denzel was saying, my black brothers and sisters, our white brothers and sisters, whenever there is any bit of hate, any bit of unforgiveness, you have just given the devil a foothold in your life.
Right.
Then all he needs is that little entrance in, and then you start doing things that are just unimaginable. This situation was unimaginable. I can't unsee, because I saw the video, and like we all said on on social media, it didn't even give you the choice of saying if you want to play it or not. It was just playing for you to see. I can't unsee that image. And anyone who has seen that image, I want you to lock that in your brain. And the reason I want you to lock that in your brain, because I want you to understand that is what happens when you let the devil get a foothold. Remove that hate, remove that unforgiveness. We are allowed to have a difference of opinion. We are not robots. We are not cookie cutters. We are not the same people. We can have a difference of opinion. Us having a difference of opinion does not mean we have to hate each other. Understand spiritual warfare is a real thing. I know people like to call it mental health, and God bless y'all, but I am a follower of Christ, and I'm always going to call it what it is. That is what you call demonic spirits, and you give the devil a foothold, and the devil got in and he took over. That is what you saw in this young man. That is what he did. He took Charlie's life, but praise God, I already know Charlie is in the hands of our Heavenly Father, because he came in and he did the will of the Father. He followed God's purpose. And regardless of what people want to say, he was not racist. He was not hateful. He followed a biblical worldview. And that is how we're all supposed to be thinking.
Appreciate that, Crystal. My brother Van, thank you for pulling up this morning, brother. It's good to see you.
What's going on?
On I would say a joyous occasion. I am glad that they did, catch the culprit of this heinous act. But you can go with this wherever you'd like to go. I appreciate you pulling up, brother.
Oh, for sure, and thank you for having me on. I don't think they caught him. I think that's not the guy. I think he's a part of a conglomerate that came together to take down one of the most impactful people of our time, possibly a white MLK figure, if you want to say, a white Malcolm X figure, if you want to say that. The dude died a president's level assassination. When you think about people who die at that level, who die like being sniped in front of thousands of people publicly, those
and millions
are president
online
figures. Those are people who lead revolutions. Those are people who change the minds of people that they don't want their minds to be changed. This right here is a battle of spirits and principalities and dark places and all those things. And I do believe that. But I do also believe that there's a space of hate that we need to have. We need to hate darkness. We need to hate demonic spirits. That's what we need to hate. I don't think we need to go into our shell and be the softies that the Democrats expect for us to be. If somebody like a George Floyd dies, they hit the streets, they burn shit. My bad. I got to realize where I am. I apologize, guys. I am a bilingual Christian, and I'm trying to control myself and get better, because straddling the fence is not what we're supposed to do. The lukewarm church, the Lord also equally hated. All I'm saying is this, and again, guys, I'm not trying to be offensive, but I think they're playing with our minds. They're playing in our faces again, is what they're doing. What we distracted from when this happened? Charlie Kirk died by assassination. This dude was executed. At the same time, there was a school shooting. What were we supposed to be looking at? What are we supposed to be talking about? And then on top of that, hold on, wait a minute. And I'm trying to control my speech. All right. Because what I'm hearing from you beautiful people that's in here is it makes me want to be more positive and you know what I mean, and be more diplomatic. But Van can only be what Van is. And one thing I will say is this: I don't trust none of these niggas. None of them. None of them. It seems like a call that came from the top, and you take from that what you will.
Understood.
Asagai, appreciate you pulling up this morning, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Asagai.
Hey, what up, man?
Hey, bud, how you doing, man?
I'm still alive.
Yes, you are.
I'm still alive by the grace of God. But these last couple of days, as you can see, just trying to keep it together and understanding, like you said, man, you know, they think they're going to make us cower and hide and don't understand that, you know, we've been wearing the armor of God. Okay. We've been prepared, and part of that preparation is to protect. Okay. We're supposed to protect our families, protect ourselves. Okay. We were told that, you know, if you don't have one, get yourself a sword. The Lord told us that, and you know, it wasn't just so, you know, you can go out and commit those acts. It's to stop them from committing it on us. And that's really, I mean, I believe that if something happens, I'm going to be home with the Lord. However, I don't want to be in that situation where I'm forced to take somebody else's life, okay, because they're stupid, because they decide, you know, they can't handle my hat, okay, but then they put it in my face so that I have to defend and stop them from being idiots. And like, man, I'm really hard. I'm trying really hard to not speak the other language, being a bilingual Christian myself. Okay.
Amen. Man from New York.
What's so ironic too is that I was trying to come back and do some stuff on YouTube, and the first video I did, I just put out, was about the rhetoric, about people being led to just this. And it was about this woman who said, hey, let's start a new movement of, if you see MAGA, shoot MAGA. Okay. And if you see somebody in this hat, go ahead and exercise your Second Amendment right, she says. And then hours later, boom, you know, and they don't seem to understand. It's not about what you say, it's about what you do. And what you say can lead other people to do just insane things. You know, but you can do it the opposite way as well. You can inspire people to do great things. And why aren't you putting your energy in that? I've been crying for the last 2 days. I mean,
it's all right.
I'm right there with you. Definitely with you.
I had a guy just Sunday. I'm at the Kroger. I'm at the supermarket, and this guy wants to get in my face and call me an effing idiot, and I'm following a pedophile and all this stuff, and then he was gonna kick my ass. Now, what he doesn't understand is that not only am I a gun carrying American, but I've done a lot of military and civilian training. Okay, I may be unassuming. I'm 5'2", but I know how to break a lot of things on people very quickly. And he didn't understand. He was the one that's in danger. They don't understand. They're the ones in danger. Okay, because if you come to my doorstep, I'm ready for the wolf. Okay, I prepared myself so that when trouble comes looking for me, trouble's gonna find some trouble. Okay, trouble's gonna be, oh man, I shouldn't have picked that one. But then it's too late. And now I gotta live with making somebody else's child go 6 feet deep.
Yeah.
That's not fair. That's not right.
It's not. MJ, appreciate you pulling up this morning, brother.
Always.
To add,
For sure, man.
Go with it wherever you want to go.
Yeah, I'm with the rest of the panel. My energy has not been right for the last couple of days, and
I don't think any of our energy has been right, to be honest with you.
I am emotionally exhausted at this point. I mean, from the young lady in Charlotte. I live very close to Charlotte, and I didn't even know about that. But this assassination of Charlie Kirk hit me in ways that I did not expect. And, I'm angry because, our children, my daughters are adults, but they're still my children. They had to witness this. A public execution? Are you serious? And so for me, it's like a well-constructed psyop, to normalize this sort of behavior, to allow words to equal violence. And I like what the gentleman said in that press conference, that no, violence is violence. Words are not violence. Charlie Kirk, I tell people, I've been the last man, listen, I got called coon twice yesterday, and I didn't know how to react to it other than okay. But at the end of the day, the rhetoric and it is just it's just unbelievable to me. I told a couple of people over the last couple of days, I used to be a far left progressive. I used to be all the way on the left, drinking all the Kool-Aid. And when I did the research and the homework for myself,
Amen.
and really started to unpack these, the things that really mattered, I knew I was duped.
Yep.
And I try to explain that to folks and send people on the right path. No, read this, read that, study this, study that, so that you can have a really well-rounded understanding of things. But when you start to normalize this sort of violence, it's like watching the Hunger Games in real life, where people are applauding this. People
Amen.
are cheering for this. That was the most egregious thing I've ever seen. It used to be outlawed to see things like that on public networks. And I referenced the Faces of Death, this whole series back in the day, where it was like the most egregious things that you cannot unsee. Our children saw this, and I'm not talking about just my adult children, but everybody saw it. And it's on the internet, and it'll never go away.
Nope. I didn't see it, and I've been avoiding, and I thank
Me
the
too.
Lord that I did not have to see that.
Don't see it. It is
Don't
bad.
see it. It's bad.
It is bad.
What I believe we should do is we need to have criminals publicly executed again. We need to have hangings where the criminals understand what's going to happen to them. Okay, that they're not going to get out of it. And I believe this guy, when they convict him and sentence him to death, he needs to get done by firing squad. Okay, he needs to have it looking him right in the face, because this evil doesn't understand anything other than themselves. Everything is narcissistic. It's rooted and buried in the first sin, which is pride. Okay, it's about me. Okay, and it is spiritual warfare down to its roots.
Absolutely. I got a question for you guys, and I want to kick this to Van, and I'll give it to Minister Danzo. We'll kind of go around. But what are your thoughts on the people celebrating this, especially younger Black folks, younger Black people in general, some who have large platforms, others who don't, that are celebrating this and saying that he deserved what he received because of some of the things that he had said in these debates and online, and they, take clips out of context and say because he said this, he's racist, and because he is racist, he deserved, what he received.
I'll say one thing.
Wait,
the
hold
only
up,
person.
Hold up, Asagai.
Okay. Go ahead, man.
All right, so I'm trying my best to make sure I respect this space. So I will say this: there's a whole bunch of low vibration individuals who want to play tit for tat, and they believe that they have a right to dance on the grave of someone that spoke truth to life. People don't like anyone that tells the truth, and they definitely don't like anybody who leads with the Lord. Like when you lead with God's will and God's law and God's principles, they hate that. And we know many people in history that have died by the hands of just demonic people because they were just speaking truth to life. What I will say is one person specifically that I have an issue with, Charleston Whites. Charleston White, bro, I don't understand how he has a fan base. I don't understand how he is so ignorant in what he says. This guy was driving, rolling the blunt, blasting some Drake. Paused the Drake just to say F Charlie Kirk, F his family, F his babies. They probably autistic anyway. I don't give a F about him or any white man, peck of wood, cracker. He went on. And then he said, just so you know that this ain't no black and white thing, I said the same thing about King Von and his babies. The dude is disrespectful and everyone like him need to be dealt with accordingly. I'm not blown away by it, and honestly, I'm not shocked. I expect ignorance to do what ignorance does. Ignorant people do what they do best. You do what you practice at. If I'm chilling all daggone day, guess what I'm gonna be great at? Chilling. If I'm ignorant and demonic and just don't know Jesus and don't want to have anything to do with it, guess what? I'm gonna be great at all of those things. So for all of them ignorant Satan imps out there who want to contribute to what the devil want them to contribute to, I say continue to do your job. I'm sure that Satan will be like, job well done, faithful and humble servant. The same thing that we want to hear from our Lord and Savior.
Absolutely. What are your thoughts, Minister Denzel?
Well, let me say this. As Brother Van just pointed out, there are a lot of crazy people out there now in our private sector, and they do what they do, and they should be responded to properly. But my concern is the people in the politics, leaders, media personalities, celebrities, who go on their platforms and they make statements. There's a chain of videos or clips of the politicians and media people who have called for the assassination of Trump. We have to stop allowing that because that kind of language is not free speech. You can't go into, you can get arrested if you go into a movie theater and you scream fire. And there's a trampling and people trample and get killed. You can go to jail for that. There are certain things that is not covered to demand or call for someone being assassinated. There should be a prosecution following that. And we have to stop. See, this is the kind of rhetoric that we can't allow. And free speech is wonderful, and we need that. But when you go beyond free speech and start calling for the assassination of somebody, you need to be prosecuted to a full extent of the law so that people will understand that we're not going to tolerate this as a society. That's what's affecting these young people. You have intelligent people. I hate to even call their names out. Savvy Sav, Tim Black, D.L. Hughley. They actually talk about the justification of Black people being angry or being happy about what happened to this man. And there is no intelligent justification for that. Black people are not a monolith. We are not all alike. And all Black people aren't happy when something stupid like that happens. But if you're not challenging these people intelligently and calling out in public when they do this kind of stuff, we're not helping to defeat them. We have to document and state their sick comments. They took this man's comments out of context, and I looked at all those comments. I know what he was saying in the context. They were not the point he was making. There's nothing racist or fascist or homophobic about the things that Charlie was arguing. Now, you can take it that way if you want to, but that doesn't make you a way you interpret it right. We have to stop letting them get away, because people that are ignorant and stupid and demon possessed, they are the ones who are affected by this kind of rhetoric in the way they are. And I am not going to tolerate it. And I'm not going to let any of my Black brothers and sisters in the church or out of the church convince me that I have to go along with that stupidity. If you don't like my truth, don't hang around me. I don't need you to hang around me. I'll love you from afar. But I'm not going to let you stand in my presence and talk ignorant, drawing from what you've seen on left media and democratic philosophy and atheist philosophy. I'm not going to let you stand in my presence and get giddy about that stupidity. I'm sorry. Jesus was the best thing that ever happened to this world.
Amen.
He did everything right, and you saw what they did to him. It wasn't, Pilate said, man, what did the dude do wrong? What's the problem here? He ain't done nothing wrong. They said, crucify him. My point here is that you're always going to have people like that in the world. This is not a mistake, but we have to stand strong, and we cannot yield to it, and we cannot participate in their mentality. We have to stay on that higher ground and sock it to them with Jesus.
I hear that. I want to play this clip for you guys, and then after I let the clip play, Celeste, Crystal, I want you guys to get in there after I play this clip right here. Check this out.
Anybody, especially black people, that are saying Charlie Kirk was racist and was not for black people and did not know black people, I am 100% convinced that you have never sat through a full debate of his or watched any of his debates with a sound understanding. Black people are always so quick to want to be the victim of a situation that they can't thrive. And this is one of the things that Charlie Kirk was exposing to black people. We have such a cap on us because we think we're limited because we're black or because we're women and because we think our ancestors, whatever they went through, is still impacting us today, but we are not there anymore. Charlie Kirk wasn't saying that we didn't need or black problems didn't matter. He was saying, hey, you're not a slave anymore and there are no more laws that are holding you back saying that you can't do what a white person can do. You should get up and go and try these methods and become somebody. One thing we got to understand is life is hard and we don't need handouts. Handouts is making people weak and sensitive. That's why this man was just killed over mere opinions. Having an opinion. This man never said nothing racist or hated or hateful towards black people. I followed this man very closely and watched many of his debates, and I stand in agreement with a lot of the things that he say. And I really, if I disagree with anything, it was so small I can't even think about nothing I disagree with. And I just hate that we are people who are so quick to be controlled by the word racism that just one little clip misrepresenting what somebody said is all we need to throw somebody under the bus. We got to think about this. Who are the kind of people, and not to, this was a white on white crime. And whenever these type of people get involved, that means there is some power being seeped out somewhere to the masses that the people in control don't want the power to be with. And this is what he was doing. He was showing a lot of people that are blind and programmed by the system to wake up and get out the matrix. And this was the problem. Telling black people you don't need government assistance because you can be somebody is not racist. Telling us that government assistance has hindered us because before we were on government assistance, we were a more successful people is not racist by reading and understanding the facts. Ever since we started getting subsidized by the government, we have been controlled by the government, and not in only what we can do, but how we think. And this is a person who challenges you to think for yourself. The things he said about George Floyd, y'all act like because an officer killed George Floyd, that made him a saint, like he wasn't a criminal, like he wasn't on drugs. That's what caused him to be suffocated and pass out. Y'all like he wasn't resisting, like he was just being a good law-abiding citizen and was just taken out senselessly like we do each other. That wasn't the case. So when they're pointing out this stuff, y'all don't like nobody telling y'all the truth. Black people don't want to hear the truth because we benefit off of not working and being lazy off of government assistance and stuff. One thing Charlie Kirk also said was if the black people want to become better, we're going to have to stop celebrating crime and murder. Our culture is destruction. Our culture is destruction. And it ain't nothing we can do or say to change that. Everything we have from the women in our idolization groups, Beyonce, Summer Walker, SZA, Cardi B, Sexy Red, all of them are horrible examples of how to be as a woman. The same thing with the NBA YoungBoy, Lil Baby, Da Baby, Lil Wayne, Baby, P. Diddy. All of those are examples of how to be a terrible person. And what he is saying is get these examples from in front of you and your kids so that y'all can thrive. Also, let's work on building the family back. One of the things that destroyed the family was removing a father out the home. Put that back together so we can start becoming a good community. But we don't like being told nothing. We don't like being told how to better ourselves because we want to be victims so bad. We want to be at the bottom of somebody's pity party so bad that we'll take anything we can to disregard or dismiss any ethical or sound doctrine to help better ourselves, so that we can steady dwell on a past that no longer affects us and that we can overcome and have the ability to become somebody. My last point is, I always tell my daughter, because I made her read about Madam C.J. Walker, a self-made black woman millionaire during a time way worse than today. So everybody with all these excuses of why you can't be successful because you black or a woman, odds have always been being defeated since the beginning of time. Stop teaching your kids and capping your kids at you black or you a woman so there's stripes against you. Stop teaching that to your kids and let them know you're going to have to work hard for whatever you want. Be resourceful and go for what it is that your goal is. But we keep teaching each other that, oh, it's hard because we black. I've been a victim of that mentality too. And that keeps you in a slave mentality. It keeps you from going to strive. If you are conditioning people and making people believe that I automatically am going to lose or fail, or it's going to be even harder for me just because I'm black, most people are not going to even get up and put their best foot forward. So when you tell people, hey, wake up, you don't have to be like this and you can be better, that's making you get uncomfortable because now it's time for you to work and become somebody instead of dwelling in your comfort of nothingness. And everybody is taking this man and all these clips and misrepresenting him, all for the simple fact that people don't want to do better, that people hate knowledge. The Bible says in Proverbs chapter 1, 22 through 24, when will you fools stop hating knowledge? Fools hate knowledge. And that's all this man was giving out, is knowledge. And if anybody saw fit that this man should be executed in front of his wife, kids, and thousands of people just because he was giving out knowledge, it's absolutely insane. And if anybody thought this was okay or warranted, it's absolutely insane. And we got to pray about your heart. And I pray over this country in the name of Jesus, Lord, that you begin to touch the hearts of the people here in this world, Lord. Their hearts are growing cold. They're beginning to love murder and death. They're beginning to love to see people suffering, good people suffering. And I'm just asking, Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus, that you come down here and you rest your soul on us and you open and soften the hearts of the people of the world who are constantly in rejection to you or the truth of any kind. We speak the truth and declare the truth no matter what in the name of Jesus amongst everybody, no matter how you feel about it, and no matter how your feelings get hurt, because all of this saving people feelings and stopping people from getting offended is why somebody felt the need to go and assassinate somebody for having an opinion. We got to be careful what we listen to and what we fall for, and stop falling for the propaganda and lies that is being used to control us and tell us how to think instead of thinking for ourselves.
Amen. Amen. Mic drop in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
Wow. Celeste,
Amen.
wherever you want to go with this, I have no
Wow.
questions for you.
Come on,
Wherever
Sister
you
Celeste.
want to go with this,
Mm.
the floor
Come
is
on.
yours.
Okay, so there is a comedian. I think his name is T.K. Kirkland, who used to do a bit, and he started his bit with "Who raised you?" And I really want to talk about the people who are attracted to the idea of celebrating, as Van says, dancing on the grave and making the death in this horrific event that we witnessed some kind of moment of celebration. Who would be attracted to something like that? And this comes back to the who raised you. You've got to realize we have now probably 3, maybe more generations of people who are not fully formed. They are adults. They are walking around as older people or as people of adult age, but they have never been raised and maturated into adulthood. They are unfully formed, and they know this, and they feel the lacking that they have as being people who are expected now to perform as adults and can't. They are struggling with it. And the left gives them a soft place. The left says, no, it's not your fault that you are not maturely maturated. It is not your fault that you have not been actualized properly into adulthood. It's the fault of the racist. It's the fault of the sexist. It's the fault of the homophobic. It's the fault of the xenophobic. That's why you're not thriving. That's why you're struggling. It's not your mother's fault that she didn't pick a better father. It's not your father's fault that he was not a better man. It's not your community's fault that they didn't have any structures to nurture you. It's not your church's fault that they preach a false God. It's nobody's fault. It's these other people's fault. And it is so easy for these folks that are lacking and ill-equipped to come and say, hey, it's not me. I'm all right. They're wrong. And the reason they hated Charlie so much is because Charlie's life was in defiance of that. Charlie was not rich. Charlie came from extremely humble beginnings. He was a working class boy who had no family connections, no family name, no wealth to speak of. He left college education at 18 years old, realized that was a fool's errand, and said, I got God and I got me, and I'm going to go out in this world and build it myself. And that is the antithesis of everything the left teaches, that someone like him could rise to the level and have the influence in the ear of presidents and the commoner alike, and as easily and as smoothly could waft back and forth and all of those different interactions and be the same person, never have to change, never have to bend, never have to bow, never have to scrape, could be that in front of everyone is absolutely something they despise, because there is a law in philosophy that says there is something in beauty when something is so beautiful that it makes the ugly, it makes the appearance of the ugly known. And his beauty made them feel ugly. And that's why they hate him.
Oh.
Get in there, Crystal.
God bless you.
Jeez.
Bless you.
So I'm gonna say it like this. The power of life and death is in the tongue, and so a man thinketh, so shall he be. The thing is, and I'm gonna speak to the black people in America. The problem is that you allow these people to tell you who you are. My name is Crystal Beyond Labels because I don't live in the labels of this world. I am not identified by my skin color. I'm not identified by my gender. I am identified as a daughter of Christ. That is who I am. So nothing is going to keep me back from doing anything that God has for me. And that is the problem. You all listen to these people that continue to tell you, the people like Charles and D.L. Hughley and all these other people that continue to tell you that you can't do anything, that you are not amount to anything. You have people like Sonny Hostin and Whoopi Goldberg that is out there telling you that anyone who makes it from our community is the exception, not the rule. And you embrace that and you believe that and you accept that. So when someone like Charlie Kirk comes out here and tells you the truth and tells you that God is your source, not the government. When Jesus walked this earth, he said that we're supposed to help the poor, yes, but he was talking to the church. He was not talking to the government, because the government was never supposed to be your source. God is your source. I need everyone to go back to what it is. God is our source. Why do you think the slaves made it? Why do you think the black people in Jim Crow made it? Because God was their source. God should be your source, not the government. I agree with that woman. They have put so many people, the devil, and I'm going to say just like that. I'm going to call it for what it is, because we say everything else but the truth. The devil has put people like the Beyoncés, the Summer Walkers, the NBA Youngboys, as she was saying, all of these people, the Roland Martin, the Jamal Bryants in your face to continue to have you in this enslaved mindset. You are slaves to this system. As much as you say you're not a slave, you are slaves to this system and you embrace it. And all Charlie Kirk was telling you was get out of that slave mentality. You are free. Just like they told the slaves in Texas that you were free. We are free. And they didn't realize it. I want y'all to realize we are free. That's what Charlie was saying. That is, Charlie was letting you know what God says. There's so many blessings for us out there, but you have to embrace God. Get out of this materialistic, worldly mindset, because all the devil is going to keep you in is this stupid hamster wheel, have you broken, have you confused. And as the word says, and I will say it right now, in Proverbs chapter 14, it says that the way of a man, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes. And that's what's happening right now. There's so many people that think you are right and you are a fool. And that is what the Bible calls you, a fool, because you think you're right and you're not right. Wisdom is key, not the college education, because clearly the college education is destroying so many people. It is wisdom. So many people from slavery, from Jim Crow, from all those times, they made it because they had the wisdom of God. That is what you need. That is what Charlie has. That's what so many people on this panel have, the wisdom of God. And that is what you need to break free of this system. So stop celebrating this man's death. What kind of humanity do you have that you are celebrating the death of someone? You need to check your spirit, check yourself, because the fact that you could celebrate someone's death because you didn't like what they were saying, because they spoke truth, I want everyone to understand. Truth is love. Jesus spoke truth. He said, go and sin no more. He told the woman at the well, go get your husband. And when she said, I don't have a husband, he said, no, you have 5. And none of them were yours. He spoke truth to her. He told her, and sin no more. Truth is love. The world has convinced you that lying is love. I am not going to lie to you. I'm going to do exactly what Charlie did. I am empowered. I'm going to tell the truth. And if you don't like it, that's your business. But you can't ever say that I didn't tell you the truth, because it says in Ezekiel chapter 3, verse 18 through 19, if I tell you that this is a sin and you do not tell your brother or sister that this is a sin and they die in that blood is on your hands. But if you let them know and they die in their sin, that blood is not on your head. And I'm not going to let blood be on my head at all.
God bless you, sis.
Thank you, Crystal. I appreciate that, man. That was awesome, man. Asagai, I know you want to get in there, and then we'll go Asagai, Van, Denzel, MJ.
There's so many
Asagai,
things.
don't filibuster too long. I know you.
Okay, I know. I have the ability. I'll just say, one thing that really comes to mind, that when people start saying, well, he brought this on himself, I just want to ask the question, is like, Charlie Kirk is the only person that died because of what Charlie Kirk said. Okay, Charlie Kirk, you can't tell me an assassin that Charlie Kirk inspired anywhere. No matter what he said, as many times as he spoke, no one died because of it. He's the only one that's died because of it. And then the fact that our problems started when we stopped parenting. Okay, when we abdicated, not only did the Black community get rid of the father in the family, the mother who was left stopped raising adults. Okay, because I'm sorry, a woman cannot raise a man. It takes a man to raise a man. Okay, and now we have all these children that are adult size with children's minds, and that's how they react and that's how they act. And it's very hard as an adult to deal with a child that's adult size, because they should have been raised already. Why do I have to? I can't tell you how many relationships I was in where I realized, like, I gotta raise you. Okay, this is too much work, because there are things that you should know that are basic that your parents should have taught you that you obviously were never taught. And why is it on me? But it is. The society has made that happen. And I try to raise my boys saying, look, my job as your father is to teach you how to be a responsible adult. Why? Because God willing, I'm going to be your father in your adult years a lot longer than in your childhood. And so once you become that adult, it's going to be very hard for me to correct things that you do because you have your own mind. You're going to go do what you want to do. But I need to have instilled in you the ability to discern and not go down those paths that you shouldn't go down. Now, if I did my job right, you'll continue to seek my advice for however long you have it, that you have me on this earth. And I will gladly give it to you. I try to tell my boys, look, I got cheat codes. Okay, in your language, in your vernacular, I got cheat codes. If you just turn to me, I can help you out. But our society has told us that those who have experience should be ignored, and that those who are youthful, they know everything. It's so backward. But I don't remember all of the scriptures that point to this, but like you said, we have the wisdom of God in us, and the Holy Spirit is what helps us discern these things. I sometimes feel it's an odd thing because you hear something and it's not even, I didn't even really process it, but I know that's wrong. Okay, that's absolutely wrong. And then when I delve into it, I can realize, okay, why is that wrong? But we've stopped teaching that to our children, and
Amen.
now we're dealing with it.
Amen.
Appreciate that, Asagai. Van, get in there. And then I have a question that actually came from one of the super chats. So Van, I want you to go ahead and get in there. You can go with it wherever you want to go. I want to read this super chat, and then we'll get Minister Danzo, we'll get MJ in. I think this question, I actually think it's a really good question. But get in there, Van, if you wanted to add anything.
Oh, for sure. I just think that where we are right now is a good place. And I'm just keeping it a buck. It's causing people to really show their true sides. Sometimes something has to happen like this in order for us to really see the snakes in the grass. They
Amen.
are all starting to pop their heads up and show us
Amen.
exactly who they are and what they
Amen.
represent. And it's up to us to believe them. And if we don't, we are the fools. And I will also say this. I believe Charlie Kirk knew that by him fighting the fight that he was fighting, that he wasn't going to be here until he was 100. I don't know if he was ready at 31. I mean, who is? I got a beautiful baby that just now was born. I got a beautiful wife. I'm doing well. You know what I mean? People are starting to have great conversations, tough conversations about things that they once wouldn't have talked about. But at least we get to see the snakes in the grass, man. And that's all I have to say about that.
Appreciate that. I want to read this super chat that came in from Aaron G. He stated that does this Christian panel believe that the laws and commandments will help the Black community, or do you believe it was done away with? We actually talked about this about 2 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. He also wanted to get a clarification of the biblical definition of sin. Minister Danzo, I will allow you to answer that question. And then if you guys would like, we can go down the list of the 10 commandments real quick. I mean, to answer your question, simply, yes. Yes. But Minister Danzo, I will give you the opportunity to, expound upon that.
All right, sin is not a complicated concept. It's just anytime you disobey God, you're sinning. That's basic. You can't, anytime, which means you have to know what God said in order to do what God said. And if you don't do what he said, you're sinning, bottom line. And the problem is that people are trying to twist what God said so that you don't know you're sinning. But the bottom line, you read that book, you'll know what sin is. Jesus said that you'll be clean through the words which I have spoken unto you. Trust me, get in that book, you can't go wrong. I mean, you just trust that book. The book is tight. It's the baddest book in the library. There's no question about it. So that's the bottom line on that. The other thing he mentioned about what was the other part?
He said, will the laws and commandments of the Bible, of the Word of God, will it help the Black community, or do you believe that it was done away with?
Everyone.
It is the only thing that can help the Black community. We're not talking about just the Old Testament law of Israel, because of the 10 commandments. Those principles are still very valid. Most of them are still very valid. But the New Testament is our law. It has everything we need in it to help us live. Peter said, God has given us all things that pertain unto life and godliness. There's no question about that. So yes, that is the only solution for the black, and not just the black community, the red, pink, green, the Martians, anybody and everybody. That is the only solution. Look at my lips. The only solution is God's word. No question about it. Now, before I go, because I'm not going to filibuster, I want to say to Sister Celeste and Sister Crystal, you know I love you, and I know that you are solid. No problem, question about that. You are on point, and I love you. You're my A-listers. No question about that. What I'm about to say has nothing to do with you. Who is that sister that you just played that video? Who is that woman? Who is it? That lady killed it.
Yes, she did.
I want her name.
Phenomenal. I don't have her name. I do have her TikTok handle, and I will share that with you guys. But she doesn't use her name. She just has a TikTok handle. But when you look at the 10 Commandments and you think about the law, first off, Jesus said that he didn't come to replace the law. He came to fulfill it. So I think a lot of people need to, one, understand that the commandments are still there. They're still alive. They're still alive and well and in need. But when you think about, just cherry picking a few, and we can kind of tie it back to the black community, but really we could tie it back to America in general. Thou shalt not covet. We have a lot of people in our country that have this covetousness mindset, and especially, in our community where you will have some of the poorest people in the country still purchasing, designer wear, still feeling like they need to drive certain types of vehicles and things of that nature because we're coveting a certain lifestyle that has been portrayed to us by your favorite rapper, actor, actress, whoever, your favorite entertainer, who more times than not, their life is leased. Their life is funded. Most of these people aren't who they say they are. They don't have the money that they portray themselves to have. But because of this social media thing, and we know that social media, it's not a real place. I think we understand that, but there's still a lot of people out there that believe that, Bow Wow was on a private jet when he got caught that he wasn't on a private jet and he got called out. And there's so many people out here living this facade, and you have so many people looking to these people, believing that they're like that and that they should live like that. The other, we have a homicide issue in a lot of our communities around the country. Thou shalt not kill. If we could stop that, if people could just follow that, how many black lives would be saved? Think about the pregnancy terminations. How many black lives would be saved by following that one commandment there? I asked the question last week, how many people need to die in order for it to be considered a genocide? And we talked about it. We're not going to get into it. But a lot of people said, some people said 1, some people said 100,000, others said 1 million. Just from the pregnancy terminations alone, we've lost 20 million black people in our country. 20 million. And let's not even talk about their legacy. Let's not talk about their legacy. We're talking the 20 million, but how many children, grandchildren would have come from that? I mean, we're the population here. Our population is dying in our nation right now. I mean, we're still stuck at 13%, the same 13% that they told us we were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. We're still stuck at the same 13%. Our numbers aren't growing. So when you count the pregnancy terminations, you count the amount of homicides that happen in our community. Chicago last year had over 600 homicides in one city and 3,000 shootings. So thou shalt not kill. The other, honor your father and mother. That is something that is lacking in a lot of our young people. They don't have a lot of respect for the elders. There was a time when young people, and I'm sure you guys can attest, because I think most of you guys are around the same age as me, that we would be out in the streets cutting a fool. But if someone of an older ilk, we would tighten up really quick. We wouldn't talk a certain way around, grandma or someone that would be old enough to be our grandma. We would, if you were, smoking a J or something like that, or sipping on something, you would hide it. You would put it out until, let's just keep it a buck. We would do that. These kids, they don't care anymore. There's no respect for elders from a lot of these young people right now. And that's not just in the black community, but that's just America across the board. Young people just don't have a lot of respect for elders. And that's just to cherry pick a few. And a lot of us, it says that we shouldn't have any idols, but how many people are idolizing the wrong people? The sister in that video, she spoke on it. She spoke on it. How many people are idolizing Beyonce? They will spend their entire tax return. No, good and well, you need tires on your car. and your kids need some clothes, but you'll spend your entire tax return on a Beyonce ticket. One ticket. So many people are idolizing the wrong people. So that's all I'm gonna say about that.
They idolize their blackness. They idolize their blackness, and that right there, it says, "Do not worship any other gods," and you're worshiping the God of blackness, which is why you cannot hear from God, which is why you continue to be in this ridiculous hamster wheel of victim mentality because you think the whole entire world is against you. That get out of that God of blackness. That's what they need to do.
Yeah.
Why y'all being unfair? Y'all being unfair. Y'all the 10 Commandments is a whole lot to remember. It's too much stuff to people remember. That's hard. And you see the thing that people are intellectually challenged. They can't remember 10 Commandments. So Jesus made it simple for you. Matthew 22:39. He said that all of that law hangs on two statements. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and your neighbor as yourself. Get that? You got everything.
Yeah.
You don't know that mess.
Facts.
But listen, make it simple. Kismet.
You're absolutely right.
Make it plain.
And the thing is
idols
that
are these things.
What we do know is that if people started to operate, you know what I'm saying, according to the word of God, our community would improve.
Oh yes,
drastically and rapidly. We have entirely too many children being born out of wedlock. Black men, black women are the least married people in the country, but we also know that when you look at the married people in the country, they're the wealthiest people in our country. The kids are less likely to find themselves in poverty in a nuclear family. We understand that. We all know this. The government knows this. Democrats know this. Republicans know this. Anytime anybody jumps out there and says that, hey, you need to find a good husband. Hey, you need to find a good wife and rear your children up accordingly.
Right.
Because those kids are less likely to suffer from any type of sexual abuse. They're less likely to suffer from mental health issues. They're more likely to graduate high school. They're more likely to attend college or become productive citizens out there via less likely to find themselves in prison. They're less likely to die before the age of 25.
Those statistics don't lie.
Numbers don't lie.
And the data is the data.
That's right.
But again, in a lot of our communities, and this is across America, because, you know, it started with us. We were the blueprint. We were the guinea pigs to this. It's actually, you know, it's in every community now, except for, you know, your Indians, your Asians. I said this last week. I'm like, if you find a Indian woman that is a baby mama, buy a lottery ticket. It's so rare. It's so rare. So we have one. And the thing is that when you look at that and you look at the correlation of Indian Americans, Indian Asian Americans, the highest percentage of married people, they're also the wealthiest people in the country. They make more money than any other demographic of people per household income. They're operating the blueprint. And I don't even think most of them are Christians. I don't think that most of them believe in something else.
Yeah, but they're disciplined.
They believe in family. They understand the importance of family. They understand the importance of that covenant.
That's right.
They get in that relationship. They stay married. They have their kids. They raise their kids properly. They believe in an education.
Amen. Right.
And there's a real reverence. There's a real reverence towards their elders. And if you don't get in line, if you step outside, you will be ostracized by everybody, not just your own family, but extended family as well. They're not allowed if you act like you want to cut a fool.
That's right. You can't.
And the problem with us is that we affirm the foolery.
Yes.
Yeah.
We affirm the foolery. That uncle that we know is the drunk, they still allow that fool to come around to every function. And now the kids get to see that this is an option.
Yeah.
That aunt that can't get right, she's got 5 kids by 5 different dudes. We still allow that individual to come around.
Yeah.
And the children get a chance to see that, oh, that's an option. That's a way to live, because my family's they're still gonna love me. They're still gonna let me come around. They're still gonna let me, you know what I'm saying? We affirm the wrong things.
Right.
We do.
I gotta go. Real quick though, I was having a conversation with a cousin of mine, and trying to get them to understand as a black man, the thing that I've learned about this world is that the person that I have most to fear is another black man. I grew up in the Bronx in the 70s and the 80s. I grew up in the streets. And the only way to survive the streets is to understand who's most likely to harm you. It's ridiculous that we tell Black people, well, you need to be worried about the Klansmen in Idaho and not worried about Pookie down the street.
Come on.
Okay? You need to be paying attention to this
You're gonna get
guy.
yourself in some trouble today, bro.
Well, yeah, I mean, let's keep it. We say we want to keep it real. Let's keep it real, okay? I'm not worried. Just like Chris Rock said, a nigga rob your house and then come over. I'm sorry, and a ninja will rob your house and then come over the next day and say, "I heard you got robbed." Okay, that's the guy I gotta worry about. And when I say I gotta worry about them, then all of a sudden, oh, you hate Black people, you hate yourself. I was calling it's self-hatred. It's like, no, it's not self-hatred, it's self-correction. Okay, if I'm not gonna call out what needs to be corrected in-house,
yes,
you know, why am I going to let somebody tell me, hey, worry about the wolf that's in the woods and not the one that's in the room?
Amen.
Okay, we need to cut that out.
Amen.
We really need to. Hey, God bless all of you.
Appreciate you, Asa Guy, man. Appreciate you pulling up this morning.
I'm sorry for not keeping it PG, you know. But Van said it first. All right.
I got a few. You gonna blame Brand? See,
That's
look at
right,
that.
I'm
You just talking about
chuckling.
taking accountability, and here it is. You pointing the finger at somebody else. Come on now.
That's some N-word sugar honey iced tea. What you just did, bro.
Take care, Asa Guy. All right, I got a couple super chats I want to read before we get too far off into this. Shout out to my guy Jeff with the $11 super chat. Says it's not hyperbole to think that they took out a future president of the United States.
Right.
Shout out to 2020 Vision with the $2 super chat. Says apparently Ben Shapiro has taken over Turning Point USA. Interesting. I hadn't heard that yet. Shout out to Marla. Says good to see you, Van. Thank you, Marla, for the $2 super chat. Mr. Largy with the $5 super chat says, great unifying speech, spot on. Please help me to understand why the FBI was brought in for a local killing. This was horrible. I'm praying for the family. I think this was an all hands on deck type situation where the governor was not willing to turn down any additional resources to help solve this crime here, and which is exactly what Governor Pritzker should be doing, which is exactly what Governor Moore should be doing right now, being willing to accept the resources from the federal government to solve certain issues and crime that we have going on in these communities across the country. This is an actual example of, hey, when a governor says, hey, we're willing to accept the resources of the federal government, how quickly things can get accomplished. This is actually an example. Shout out to Jeff with the $11 super chat. Says, pray for the suspect and his family. Turn the other cheek. Love your enemy as yourself. Appreciate you, Jeff. Thank you. C. Cook with the $5 super chat says, the governor's remarks were not only powerful, but has caused me to see him in a whole new light. I'm not familiar with this particular governor. This was the first time that I had an opportunity to hear anything from him. But again, I don't follow what's going on in Utah politics, way out here, in the mid-Atlantic on the East Coast. Don't follow what's going on. With what's going on out there in Utah, but I do appreciate, his words there. Shout out to Stanton 2033 says, my man Van laying some truth down. Look at that, Van come through with the fans. I appreciate you, brother. Shout out to Eden with the $5 super chat says, I pray that this won't be in vain. Please, God, let our country unite. Absolutely. I think you're starting to see it. You're also starting to see people turn away from the left behind this, behind not only, the act of, what happened to Charlie Kirk, but also the behavior of people online. And they're saying, hey, I'm not with that. I'm not like that. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to go conservative and that they're going to go full-fledged Republican, but I think you're going to see more people remove themselves out of what would be considered the Democrat Party or the Democrat Socialist Party and at least move over to the independent side of things. And I talk about it. I talk about that on this particular platform all the time, is that I'm not trying to push you to the Republican Party. Honestly, I really want to push you towards being independent and being a free thinker, looking at the policies, the agenda of both sides, and making a decision that makes sense based off of your beliefs and what you think will make sense for you in your community. I think there's so many people that look at politics and it's blue no matter who. And in some cases, you know, it's just red all the way down, regardless of who the person is, opposed to listening to each candidate individually, listening to their policies, their agenda, what they're trying to push, and then making a decision. Unfortunately, our school system, you know, hasn't been a bastion for critical thinking either. So it makes it really easy for people to, you know, just go blue no matter who.
Right.
Thank you, Jeff, with the $11 super chat. Says they killed Christ also because they hated what he preached.
That's right.
Absolutely. Jeff with the $11 super chat. Goodness gracious, Jeff. It's not an exaggeration that Charlie Kirk brought more young people to the right than anyone ever before. For that reason alone, he was the left's enemy number one. Would agree with that. Also, you know, when anybody that's out here, you know, also, you know, tying things right back to the word of God, that's also a threat as well. Thank you, Jeff, for the $11 super chat. Says, sorry, that's Asa guy. I thought you were somebody else. My bad. Okay. All right. We got Analog Man Podcast, 910 difficulty, untrained, 510 trained, 110 expert. I think he's talking about the shooter itself in that rifle. Okay. Jeff with the $11 super chat says the left has been around since the day they stood in the courtyard of Pilate's place demanding, give us Barabbas.
That is true.
Excellent.
It's true.
Jeff with the $11 super chat says the pink lady dropped a 1-ton microphone. Yes, she did.
Yes, Lord.
Yes, she did.
Amen.
Malachi with the $20 super chat says shout out to what's going forth on ARP this week. 100. Appreciate you, brother.
Amen.
Thank you, Malachi, man. Be safe out there on the road. David, is it Guiton or is it Guton? Hopefully I'm pronouncing that properly. A YouTuber said it best. The Democrat Party ought to be labeled a terrorist organization. They love everything that represents Satan. Yeah.
No arguments here.
Yeah.
Amen.
We got Marta Magdalena with the $10 super chat. I'm so glad to catch you all live today. Y'all got to work with me on this. Amazing panel. Thank you. We all need God. Thank you very much, Marta. Appreciate you. And Jeff with the $11 super chat states that I think the woman's channel is It's Not Your Fault, Ella. Goodness gracious, Jeff. Shout out to Christian Novak with the $5 super sticker. Thank you very much, brother. Appreciate that. And shout out to Cold Steel Rails with the $50 super chat. Says, fight the good fight. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate you, brother. We have 643 watching on YouTube, but we have 12,650 people watching on X.
Amen.
Shout out to you guys. I'm not really sure if Van, you're familiar with X. Can they hit a like button on X, or is it just like and is it repost, or what is that?
They're
You can like.
reposting, they're
There's a
watching
heart.
right now,
Yeah, you
brother.
can like.
As long as they up there, they active. So
Yeah.
that's, you know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
That's phenomenal, man. That is
Man.
phenomenal. I think that's definitely breaking a record on X today. Appreciate you guys, man. Appreciate you all. Before we get out of here, I want to share this with you all. There was a situation that happened down at Texas A&M. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see it, but give me a second here. I want to pull this up. And actually, it might actually be easier for me to do it this way. Do this. But this happened at Texas A&M. There was a young lady out there who stood her ground to a teacher because, I mean, any of you guys that are sending your children to college understand, and Celeste, we've talked about this, that, you know, these people aren't really getting a solid education. They're really getting a solid indoctrination. And these people are, not educated. What'd you call them? Highly trained. I believe that was the term that you used.
And I might take that highly.
But they're definitely being indoctrinated. And you have some young people that are, starting to push back on the indoctrination. I want you guys to see this.
Kind of a recap of our remarks on gender and sexuality moving from last class. One thing we didn't get to in our last class.
I just have a question because I'm not entirely sure this is legal to be teaching.
because according to our president, there's only 2 genders, and he said that he would be freezing agencies' funding programs that promote gender ideology. And this also very much goes against not only myself, but a lot of people's religious beliefs. And so I am not going to participate in this because it's not legal, and I don't want to promote something that is against our president's laws as well as against my religious beliefs. Mhm. Yes.
You are under a misconception that what I'm saying is.
Can you explain to me how teaching us about gender identity and transgenderism and that there's more sexes than
gender isn't illegal.
Huh?
My gender isn't illegal.
Gender? What do you mean? Your gender is not illegal. According to President Trump's executive order, if you want me to read the paragraph in the order itself.
It's not enough. If you are uncomfortable in this class, you do have the right to leave.
Yes.
What we are doing is not illegal. And if you would like to claim that it is, you need to talk to the department or the head of undergraduate.
Well, I've already been in contact with the president of A&M, and I actually have a meeting with him in person to show all of my documentation tomorrow. But
we are also aware, and this is part of why there was an observer in class.
Yes.
I'm not convinced that your proposal will be effective in stopping me from teaching things that are biologically true, because I do have the legal and ethical authority, little of the professional expertise in this classroom.
Okay.
It's time for you to leave.
Yeah, no, I am.
That the leftist progressives who run Texas A&M University went to try and cover up what their officials had done. And they're only taking any action right now and only pretending to care after people coast to coast across this country voiced their absolute outrage and indignation with the way this young woman was treated. This should infuriate every taxpayer in the state of Texas who's having their money weaponized against them, against their values, and against their children. And I say this as somebody who loves Texas A&M University. I'm a proud member of the Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2004, and I'm trying to restore Texas A&M to its pre-woke glory. It is an absolute indefensible outrage that progressive leftists have been put in charge of any institutions in the state of Texas, especially are some of our most cherished, like my alma mater, Texas A&M. What has gone on here is we had a conservative student who was ejected from class, kicked out of a class, an English class, no less, a children's literature class, where she was being forced to suffer through nonstop transgender indoctrination. I think this girl had her civil rights, constitutional rights violated, was kicked out of the class, told by the professor she's not allowed to return. She was discriminated against by this professor. And when she told the university president about it, a liberal Obama appointee, he mocked her. He didn't do when he had the choice to do the right thing and fire the professor and take corrective actions, instead of getting rid of the professor and all of the officials involved in DEI and transgender indoctrination, he made the unconscionable choice to attack the student, to berate the student, to threaten the student, to gaslight her into believing she was the problem. And the department head even went so far as to threaten this girl with potential prosecution if she released the recordings that she had made of her indoctrinator professor enforcing transgenderism onto these students. This is an absolutely massive scandal. I went public with this about 3 days ago and was able to force the force the professor to be fired. The governor of Texas finally had to weigh in and demand she be fired after I requested he do that in writing a day or two before. But this is not good enough. The professor of Texas A&M is a woke leftist progressive who must be fired. We have to root and branch all taxpayer-funded DEI and transgender indoctrination that's going on here in the state of Texas. And unfortunately, Texas A&M, instead of doing the right thing, they have chosen to threaten the student, try to silence her, and they are now engaged in a massively dishonest cover-up campaign. This permeates every public university in the state of Texas. It's not just the Texas A&M I'm going after. I worked for President Trump in his first administration as his chief of staff of the biggest cabinet agency, HHS, and I was helping to root out taxpayer-funded DEI at the federal level. Nothing could have prepared me for the shock that I learned when I got elected to the Texas legislature, that DEI and transgender indoctrination has taken over just about every single public university in the state of Texas. So there's a lot of things that need to be done. It's what I asked Governor Abbott to do 3 days ago in writing, which is number one, fire President Welch, the president of A&M, fire the department head, fire the professor, and everybody else at A&M who was involved in this issue whatsoever. And then number two, because it's Governor Abbott, his appointees, his political appointees are in charge of everything at every Texas public university. I have asked him to direct every one of them to immediately terminate all DEI and transgender and LGBTQ indoctrination activities that are happening at that university, and fire every taxpayer-funded official who's involved in it. And it shames me to say that there's been absolutely no response from the governor on those requests. But those don't require a new law. Those don't require the courts. The governor has it within his power to do it right now. And I think Texans across the state need to demand the governor answer. Why has he taken no action on this? Why have his political appointees allowed liberal indoctrination to proliferate unchecked at every public university in the state of Texas? And then on the legal front, though, I would not be shocked at all if at some point Texas A&M finds itself ensnared in a lawsuit of its own making. I firmly believe this video shows a conservative student being discriminated against by a taxpayer-funded government official violating her constitutional rights. By the way she was discriminated against and kicked out of the class and told she was, quote, not welcome to return. So,
wow.
How?
I don't know if you guys have heard about that, but
excellent.
This is something that is really, this is something that's happening across the country in a lot of your academic institutions, not just on the collegiate level, but it's also happening in public schools across our country as well. You know, I do ask that y'all try to keep it PG as much as you can, but we'll start with the ladies. Celeste, what are your thoughts on the indoctrination that's happening and the discrimination that's happening, you know, for conservative kids or conservative students or you know, Christian students, you know, that's permeating all across the country, man?
Well, it's the logical conclusion of the indoctrination of the left. And you can go back as probably, you want to pinpoint the moment, you probably should look at the Frankfurt School and those people who, when they realized that they could not get a foothold of their atheist and Marxist ideology in Europe, they fled to the United States. They fled to America.
Yes.
And when they came here in turn of the century, where did they go? They were embraced and, most importantly, embedded in educational institutions, in curriculum development. This is what we did. We embedded all of those people from the Frankfurt School who were cast out, frankly, their ideology being so destructive. They were cast out and they fled to the United States, where they received a welcoming home. And then they got into the business of education, because what they realized is they couldn't wage the revolution they wanted aggressively and in public. So they embedded themselves in these institutions so that they could actually wage their revolution by stealth. And they said, all we need is generation after generation after generation of kids, and we will turn their children against them. And that's what they have done. They have taught the children to hate the countries, to hate their parents, to hate the institutions of this country, and most importantly, to hate the Constitution and to hate God, which were the things that the country was founded on. So to arrive here now, I believe that if you went into that classroom, that teacher has no other curriculum to teach. I don't think they're providing in public schools writ large that they are providing curriculum that is divorced of woke. You and I might reflect back to our middle school, our high school, our college years. We might reflect back onto when we had critical thinking, when they offered another side of the opinion, even though in my woke institution, they didn't encourage the other side of the opinion. They at least told you what they were. They said things like critics of those said. So you could at least know who the critics were and what the critics say. If you go up now in these campuses and you offer any declarative statement and you ask them, what is the appropriate opposition to this statement? These people can't tell you. I don't care if they have a high SAT score or a low SAT score. They can't tell you anything because they don't know anything. And let me tell you who is most ripe and most welcome in our institutions of higher learning is the mediocre. Oh, they love the mediocre. They want the mediocre because they know they can't think and they're just young enough, and God bless them, dumb enough that they can be programmed and manipulated into becoming the foot soldiers for an ideology they don't understand because they've been thrust into a world they cannot comprehend, that they have no context for, because their elementary, middle school, family, school, church, and community did not prepare them. We gave them over to a reprobate mind. When it says they were given over to a reprobate mind, not they, we did it. We gave them over. And this is what it produced. You want to see the hate that hate produced? That's it. Our children are that. And it's a sad, sad day. And just quickly to reflect back on Charlie Kirk, this was son of the crux. Charlie Kirk wrote a book on this. I have to say, a chapter of my book on college was first, but he wrote a book on the college scam. He was absolutely at the universities in there, playing in their face, confronting the scam of modern education. Modern education is a joke. It is an absolute joke. And it is only the abdication, the fact that your children, and I'm sorry to say this, are sitting in a school somewhere where the curriculum and the teacher and the principal do not act by your direction alone is the absolute abdication of parenting and the evidence of the laziness of parenting. Lazy parenting begets these type of children.
Crystal, I'll give you the opportunity to go, and then Hunter, I want you to get in there as well. I know it's been a little bit since you got opportunities.
This is I am proud of that young lady that was in the class, because that tells you about the foundation that was set in her life, the foundation that her parents set within her. And this is why it goes back to how you raise your children. Train up a child in the way that they shall go, and when they get older, they will not depart. And that is what you saw in this young woman. She knew what the teacher was teaching was not something the teacher should not be teaching. And she stood up, and she stood up boldly with faith. She stood up boldly. She called out truth. And that is what we are all supposed to do, stand up and speak truth. I did get an update that the professor was fired, which I am thankful that they fired the professor, because that is not what is supposed to happen. The thing is, they go after the kids, especially in college. Yes, they go after them when they're in elementary school and middle school and high school. But the reason why they really go after the kids when they're in college is because the kids, they're now away from their parents. So now the kids are trying to find themselves, and they're trying to find themselves without their parents. And this is perfect breeding ground to now fill them with all of this confusion. There's so many people, their kids leave for college, and when they come back, they don't even recognize, who are these children? These aren't the children that I raised. But that's because we have to set that foundation in them from early. And another thing that I want to speak on is, people really get upset whenever people say bring back prayer in schools. They took God out of schools. I tell you about this all the time, Wise, and we have this conversation on TikTok, and you know TikTok is the devil. Love you, TikTok, but TikTok is the devil because they literally, people will come in my room and they'll be fighting, and they'll tell me, they were like, why are you trying to indoctrinate us with your God? And I always say to them, I don't understand. Do you not think that people are indoctrinating our children with that rhetoric, with all of that liberal stuff? Why is it that you see indoctrination when people are talking about God, but you don't see indoctrination when people are sitting here telling my children there's 150 genders, and they can identify as a feline, and they can identify as a furry? You don't think that's indoctrination? That's not indoctrination? You don't think there's something wrong with that? You think that children learning the principles of the Bible, learning the 10 commandments, and being productive citizens in the United States of America is a problem, but you don't think them walking around and confused about who they are and taking medicines that have them confused and doing things that they should not do? You don't think there's something wrong with that? This is why I keep telling Christians, there's no such thing as coexisting. When they tell you to coexist, there's no such thing as coexisting, because as Christians, we will never be able to coexist because we will always have to be quiet. Everyone else, sin will always be louder when we have to coexist. We don't coexist because coexist just means to compromise and to dim our light. We are not supposed to dim our life. We are supposed to be the salt of the earth and the light of the world. And that is what we are always supposed to do. So when we see wrong, I'm going to take it back to Charlie right there. We are supposed to contend for the faith always. When we see wrong, say it. Just like that young lady stood up in her class and said it was wrong. And she went and she spoke to the president of the school. And then they took it even further. And it got it to the senators and the representatives and whoever to let it be known that this is wrong. We are not going to compromise. Christians do not compromise anymore. We are in a war, spiritual battle, and we are the soldiers in the army of the Lord. Stand up boldly, speak the truth, and don't back down.
Hunter, get in there. What are your thoughts?
Oh yeah, well, I wanted to piggyback off of what Crystal said there, and yeah, I think that as Christians, we're not indoctrinating nobody. It's never about indoctrination. If you're trying to indoctrinate, you're doing it the wrong way. We're not forcing anybody to follow our God. We're just saying there is a God, whether you want to believe it or not. There is one. Because we are so complex. This whole universe is so complex that it couldn't have just been random. It was precise, it was detailed, and it needed a brilliant mind. And we know that mind to be God because we have the evidence to prove so. But we just want to say, God loves you. He loves you, and He's wanting to be a part of your life if you're allowing. If you're not, that's fine. That's your choice. But we're telling you, you're not going to like the outcome of that. Nobody's going to like the outcome of that, but that is your choice, and God is giving you that choice. And it's like when Jesus says, "Go make disciples of all nations." That doesn't mean every person in the nation becomes a disciple. There will be some that won't want to listen. There'll be the strong few that will. It's those people we want to reach, the ones that are willing to hear. And even if it means we have to go into the den of wolves to get a hold to speak with them. But regarding this student, I praise her for her courage to stand up against her teacher, and good thing that teacher got fired. I think what needs to be done with that is they need to implement some more policy changes. I think they should put a security camera in each of the classrooms to monitor the teachers, not the students, the teachers, but also could be used for the students. And some people may sit there and say, well, wait a minute, what about a school shooter and they get access to the cameras? That's why they have this thing called a kill switch that kills the power so they don't have access to it. And basically use that as a means to monitor the teachers, see how they're going. And frankly, she's an English teacher. She's not supposed to be teaching that stuff. She's supposed to teach them how to read, write, and how to use sophisticated language like we are supposed to. And when you think of Charlie Kirk, he goes to those campuses for one thing: prove him wrong. And all the times, there's been a few people that's managed to catch him on some small things here and there that he never knew. And I'm not expecting him to know everything, but when it comes to the stuff that they learn there, they don't have as good of an education in college that they should have. And not only that, but they have so many these courses and degrees and everything that people are saying you got to have. You don't need them, because people spend like he mentions in some of his stuff, people spending like $50,000 on gender study degree. What on earth are you going to get a job with a gender studies degree? You're not, because it's nonsense. So they just need to be harder on these people that are wanting to try to spew this nonsense about, and focus and try to go back to the roots. Because I remember when I was in school, granted, I went to public school for a majority of it, but when I was very young, we went to a Christian school and I loved it there. But unfortunately, it was too expensive. And that's why I'm hoping they might change that with the public schools to make it where it's a little more affordable, or at least spread more word about God in the schools. And they might say, well, because it's a public school, it's going to be not a separation between church and state. And I'm thinking, well, if you want to say that rule, then our laws are not a separation between church and state, because our laws are founded on the concepts of the 10 Commandments. So we can sit here and go all the way around, but at the core of the country, it is Christian. Whether you want to believe it or not, at the core of it is Christian. You can believe what you want to believe, but when we want to talk about a God, we want to talk about the God who helped founded this country, and that's Jesus Christ.
Thank you, Hunter. MJ, I want you to get in there. My question to you is, and Hunter, you had brought something up, and I want to mention it to you guys. Why aren't there cameras in the classroom for teachers to be able to pop in, or not teachers, but parents to be able to pop in and see what's being taught? And not only to see the behavior of the students, but also behavior, what's being taught in the classroom. No different than if you send your kids to certain, more higher or upper echelon daycare centers. They have apps now. You can jump on and see what's going on with your kid, newborn, toddler, whatever. You can see it and see what they're learning, see what they're doing, see how they're being treated. Why isn't that a thing in public school? The other thing that I want to ask is, or maybe not ask, statement-wise, we don't have to have God really taught in the public schools. What we need is school choice and to allow the money to follow the student. So therefore, because if you work and you're a homeowner and you're paying public property tax, so forth and so on, every student has a dollar amount attached to them for whatever school that they go to, right? So if I don't want my kid to go to public school and I want to send them to a solid Christian school, private school, whatever, my money, the money that I'm paying for my kid should follow the students. And that it will force the public schools to compete with the private schools for the kids. And if the parents realize that, hey, I'm sending my kid to public school, they're not getting a solid education, and more parents start sending their kids to either these charters or these private schools where they feel like the kids are getting a better education, it would force the public schools to get better. But MJ, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's just an easy way to avoid liability and accountability, at the end of the day, because now it's just hearsay. And that's why I'm glad that student was, had the wherewithal to record that engagement. It's likely not the first time that she's recorded that. And really the schools really just have that deniability, it's, again, it's the kids' word against the teachers. Most other students will likely not speak up. My daughter, when she was in high school, was called the N-word, and thankfully she recorded that encounter. In every meeting that they held without me being present, she recorded every one of them. So our kids, a lot of our kids are vigilant when it comes to being in predicaments like that, especially when we're not around to protect them. I was very active in the schools. But a lot of parents don't step up and do that, but to this whole college thing, I call it the houses of indoctrination and confusion, because they're confusing our children. Everybody knows the frontal cortex is not fully developed until you're about 25 years old, and we got them. We can get them. I mean, that's where until that's completely done, that's where the decision-making comes into play, impulse control, planning. This is the perfect time to get them, and they have the recipe for that. And really no cameras, there's cameras everywhere. Why not in the classroom? I mean, it makes no sense. Shout out to Van. Good to see you, brother. This panel is dope. Pastor Denzel, I saw you and Celeste on another podcast last night, and I just say for the ladies on your panel, wow. I'll just leave it there. But
God bless you.
I really just think that something that Pastor Denzel said last night was, we're at a time, and it's a slippery slope where right is wrong and wrong is right.
Right.
And our kids don't know the difference. They knew the difference. It's not like we didn't teach them for those who were well involved, but these institutions really have the formula for that. And there's ways that we can go to correct it, but it's a slippery slope and it's a difficult task, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, you send your kids off to school, especially that 18 to 25, and we understand that they're still learning. But when you send them off at 18, and typically most people send your kid away for college, that's not something that I was willing to do because I understood what's going on. My youngest son is in college, but he's local at the community college, and he's taking a good amount of his classes online. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that, bro, I'm not sending you away. I'm still teaching. I'm still training. And I didn't want him to go away and be indoctrinated, with what I know he would potentially come home, because I've seen some friends of mine who kids did go off to college and they came back. The first year they came back different.
Completely
You're like,
different.
who are you? And where did you get this? Where did you get this way of thinking, this ideology? Where did you get this from? And right then and there, and this happened a couple of years back, and so it made me say, if my son is going to college, and I wanted him to go to trade school, and I'm still pushing for that. Right now I'm still pushing for it. But, I was like, there's no way I'm just sending you off to some college campus, at 18 and you don't know anything. And I'm not here to combat, some of the things that may be taught. And I know some of this stuff is going on at the local community college, but at least he comes home and we can have some conversations, about some things. And he is still being, given and not only an example of people that are trying to live for God, but we're having discussions around it as well. Minister Denzel, and then Van, I'll give you the last word on this and we're gonna get up out of here.
Yes, Brother Wise, thank you for this program. I really appreciate you, man. As I said, man, this kind of content is so important in our day and time. I thank God for my brother MJ said. I really appreciate him. You have to understand two things. Number one is that there's a lot of money being pumped into public education by outside sources in order to do exactly what's being done. There have been major reports out how millions and millions of dollars are being pumped in from China and from the alphabet community that are actually funding this kind of teaching in schools. And additionally, there are people who are educators who specifically become educators to go into schools so that they can brainwash people. So my point with this and my short comment is that we have to take back our schools. We have to, as Sister Celeste was saying, parents have to get involved with their schools. They have to be aware of everything that's going on in those schools. We have to use our power as a community to make sure that our schools are teaching education and not programming and brainwashing people. It is the community's responsibility, the parents' responsibility to take advantage of this. If we don't do that, we are giving our children's minds over to them. And if you can afford it, take them out. Do your own schooling, because you can control that. But I don't think that we should do that to the exclusion of taking back those schools ourselves.
Yeah, Ben, and I'll give you the last word, on this, as a father who have, sent multiple kids to college. And I'm thinking, you're also a future grandfather, right?
We're waiting for the news, but yeah.
What are your thoughts on this? Should parents, have, get more involved in not only what's going on, in public school, K through 12 or pre-K through 12, but also, in the universities, and get involved and get a full understanding of what kind of environment you're sending your kids off into?
Yeah, absolutely. I think knowledge is power, but I also believe we need to continue to practice what we preach. We raise up a child in the way they should go. So once they hit 18, they're no longer children. They're moved into their next phase of life. We have to depend on, was our teachings worth its salt? Send them to the college and see what happens. They're going to come back in their first year. They're going to be different. You talk to them and you continue to instruct and lay some wisdom down. They go back their second year. This happened to me with all my kids. But it showed in the end that our parenting and us instilling God in their lives earlier on, it won the day. One thing I will say though, the more we involve ourselves, I'm talking about taxpayers, into the business of these private institutions and whatnot, I believe we are violating their rights, their freedom of speech, the way that they teach, and all those things. Not saying it is right. I love the fact that the young girl stood up for herself and she was able to set meetings and record it and to cover her tail. But at the end of the day, I don't think that we're in a position to tell educators what they should teach and what they shouldn't teach and how they should teach it. I mean, let the students correct that. Let the institutions correct that, and move accordingly. If we know that they're teaching these things and we still sign up to attend those universities, then that's on us. But we are slowly but surely removing our rights from one another by making everything a law. And we don't even realize it. Yeah, we're putting God first before everything, and we want to make sure that things are moving in the Christian direction, but we are violating people's rights one at a time. That's why I love Candace Owens. She stands on the Constitution. She says, man, if we violate rights, we violate rights. That's exactly what we're doing. They don't want certain HBCUs to teach what they call woke ideology, Black history, CRT, or whatever they want to teach. Man, if that's what they want to teach and that's what they want to instruct, we've been through it and we are all right. Why do we want to baby and coddle these damn kids, man? Like, let them learn it the way that we learned it. Let them go through the fire the way that we went through the fire. Like, if they're weak, they will get got. If they're strong, they won't. But we're raising punks if we want to continue to follow behind them. No, don't say this. Don't teach this. We're going to lock you up. We're going to fire you after you say something. Nah, man, we are slowly but surely removing our rights from people, and I think that that's trash.
Well, I think when you think about the public education system, and teaching gender ideology to 5-year-olds, I think that's a no-go. I mean, public education isn't meant for that. Public education is meant to, especially when you start talking about K through 12, which is the foundation, or pre-K through 12, which is the foundation of your academic career. When you think about what should be taught, I mean, when we have third graders that aren't reading on grade level, but they know that there's 90 plus genders, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. And I think that we need to force the public school system to do what they are actually meant to do, which is actually educate the children, to teach them, how to read, how to do, basic mathematics, things of that nature, because we understand that especially in the pre-K through fifth grade, this is the foundation of education. Right. And that is something that is missing. Now, when you get to college, and you can say, okay, certain colleges are going to implement this curriculum, into their schooling. I think for us as parents, I think we should understand what we're sending our kids into, and you should be there, at those orientations to get an understanding. You should also look at the syllabus. You should look at what their curriculum is and look at what the school is actually about before you decide to send your kid there. Then you can make that decision. Right. But there should also be the ability to debate it as well. It can't just be pushed upon you and say, hey, this is it because this is true biology, when in all actuality, it's not true biology. And the people should have this say to say, hey, I don't want my kids learning that. No different than, out in Montgomery County, they had that, it went all the way up to the Supreme Court to where they didn't want to allow parents to allow their children to opt out of certain sexual education.
That's right.
And I disagree with that. I feel like as a parent, we should have the right, and we should have the right and the ability to, one, know what our children are learning. And if we don't want them learning it, we should have the right to say, nah, we don't want that.
We most
and we're going to opt out of it.
I thought we was talking about college. I mean, if we're talking about grade school, then parents need to be parents. Again, we know
I agree with that.
Put it on the government. Like, absolutely. The parents need to go to these meetings. The parents need to show up and talk to the teachers and the administration. But we don't.
Amen.
And if the schools are not doing what you want them to do, homeschool your kids. Here's the thing: we're coddling these kids. We're coddling these parents. A new law just takes the will away from the parents again. We ain't got to do anything. We just depend on Trump to make the new law. We depend on the Senate to make the new law. Whoever's in government, whoever's in power right now, we depend on them rather than being parents. again, you started off when you said, Van, listen, you raised up 4 kids to do this, that, and the other. I'm telling you like this, bro. The more I allow my children to think for themselves, that's exactly what they do. Then when they need my help, I step in as a parent. And if I see something that's awry, my wife and I, we show up and we show out. We're not indignant, but we communicate with the people who are actually teaching our kids. Now, the thing is, we're making laws to try to curtail that, to take up for the people who don't have parents in their household. Well, guess what? Life ain't fair. That's how life is. There's going to be some people that get mixed up in the bag, but that's just where I stand. I believe we're losing our rights year after year, month after month.
No, I'm not one to want to stifle free speech. That's not what I'm advocating for. I'm advocating with parents needing to be involved. Now, I'm sure you guys were involved, no different than we were involved. But it's hard to be involved when you're pushing single motherhood. That's very difficult to do because mama got to go to work. I'm the only one working, and sometimes mama might have 2 or 3 jobs, so she doesn't have the ability to go to those PTA meetings, to go to those parent-teacher conferences and things of that nature to get an understanding of what's being taught and what their children are learning. And it goes back to what the brother was saying. Would it help the Black community to start operating in accordance, with the law, of the Bible, or just with the Word of God in general? And it absolutely would, because there were times when I was working and I couldn't go to a parent-teacher conference because I got a meeting, I got something that's pertinent, but my wife could go. You know what I'm saying? And when you don't have that team, just like you had, Van, you and your wife, y'all are able to partner on that. And I'm sure you wasn't able to go to everything, but she could, and vice versa. But then we can get back home and, hey, what happened? And we can have a conversation. And if I need to circle back with the teacher, or we need to circle back to the teacher, we can do that. Unfortunately, we have entirely too many children being raised in situations where they don't have parents that have the ability to do so. And then are we not supposed to be our brother's keeper and say, hey, this isn't right? And I understand that there are some parents that don't have the ability to go and see what's wrong. But you have enough that are saying, hey, this is being taught. It can't be like this. It can't be like this. Now I'm with you, on the university level. I think as a parent, you should have a full understanding of what kind of university you're sending your kid to. No different if you're going to have them join the trade school or join the military. You should have an understanding of what that means and have a conversation not only with your children, but also if they're joining the military, go sit down with that recruiter. If they're going to college, go in there and sit down. Now, I ain't saying to coddle. I'm not saying that we should coddle, but we should also be there, to have a full understanding. You know what I'm saying? And that way we know what we're sending them into.
I'm glad that you brought up the military. When we send our kids to the military, how much say do we have of what happens in the next 4 years?
None. Zero.
None. So again, there's no law.
You are Department of the Military at that point once they go.
Hold on, but that's what I'm saying. So when we send them to the military, we have no say whatsoever. How they're yelling at our kids, they probably punching them, sneaking the elbow, making them work out too much, making them wake up when they got a heart problem or mental issues. We don't care. We send them and they got to deal with it, and they come back either better men and women or broken men and women. But guess what? It's going to be on them. And at a certain point, we need to start operating as such. We're becoming punks as parents.
I agree with that. Yeah. And our children are suffering behind it because we have raised, unfortunately, there's a generation of young people that are not as tough, not as thick-skinned as we are. And I do agree with you there. The coddling, it does have to stop. I mean, the helicopter parenting is big. It's huge. And we're not allowing the kids to fail. Everybody's getting the trophy. So I'm there with you, Van. I agree with you on that. We can't protect them from everything. There's certain things that they're just going to have to figure out, on their own. So I'm in agreement with you there, brother.
I agree with that, Wise. I know we're closing out, but I just want to say what Celeste brought out earlier, that there are powers that be that are actually have infiltrated our higher education, our college and universities, to purposely destroy people's thinking. And we do have a responsibility, whether you're a parent or not. If there's a college in your community and you know that they're teaching stuff that is not true, no one has that right to do that. And we have a right as a community to stand against it. If you're going to teach in a university that a man is not a man and a woman is not a woman, The community ought to stand up against that. You don't just let them teach anything they want to teach. We pay taxes to have those universities financed, and we have a word, we have a say in what they do. And I think the key here is truth. We are all supposed to be pushing for truth, and we're supposed to be teaching. We have to keep an eye on them. Otherwise, we're setting up institutions to be able to brainwash people and put out in our society nutcases, which is what we see happening.
I just want to say real quick for the single mom on the panel, we figure it out. We do figure it out, because the beautiful thing is there's so many different tools when your kids are growing up that you're able to see what they're teaching. I was able to go online and look at the work that they were doing. I was able to set up time to speak with the teachers. And I have 2 friends that are in the education system. And one thing they love, even if the parents can't make the parent teachers meeting, if you can set up, you can email them and they will make time to speak to you. Yeah. So there's always ways around it. So I just want parents to make sure, even if you're a single parent, because like I said, I'm a single parent, you gonna figure it out. You gonna figure it out because you want the very best for your kids.
If you care, if you are a parent that cares, you will figure out a way to stay involved in what's going on with your children. If you care.
That's right.
Unfortunately, we don't have enough out there that cares. But with that being said, we're gonna get out of here, man. I appreciate you guys pulling up and hanging out with us. I think this thing went a little longer than I expected. Appreciate you, Hunter, pulling up. For those in the chat that don't know, this is Hunter. I am Hunter. This is him. So you guys get a chance to see his face. So appreciate you pulling up this morning, brother, and hanging out with us. Thank you, Crystal from Crystal Beyond Labels. Celeste from Celeste_Duffy. She back in the game now. She getting busy now. So she back in the game. I'm glad to see it. Hey, go check out my guy MJ over at WTF For Real. And check out the brother Minister Danzo over at Probe Analysis. You guys know Van, but if you don't, go check him out over there at LFR Family.
Man.
Brother's been out here. He an OG in the game.
Yes,
OG in the game.
Right.
Triple
Right.
OG. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Wise, you're doing a great thing,
Yes,
brother.
sir.
I just want to say that, man. You're doing a phenomenal job, man. Keep up
Yes,
the good
he
work,
is.
bro.
I appreciate
Amen.
that, man. Thank you very much, brother. Before we get out, there's a couple super chats I want to read real quick before we leave. Thank you, Renee Suzanne. Appreciate you gifting 10 ARP family members. As always, God bless you, sister. Thank you very much. Shout out to Christian, hopefully I'm pronouncing it. Yeah, Christian Novak with the $5 super chat. Says, I'm not smart enough for college, but I'm smart enough for trade and goals for a business. Charlie was big for felons like me who have to start over. Oh, wow. Shout out to you, man. I know a couple felons that had to start over as well. And I know a few that are in that process. And I always tell them, man, hey, trade and look towards something that you can start your own business. So therefore, you don't have to worry about somebody asking you about your background.
Right.
Go start your own thing. Shout out to Malachi, said he's getting up out of here, going over to Anton. Appreciate you, brother, with the $2 super chat. And Analog Man Podcast with the $5 super chat says they make concessions in university for every religion and ideology except Christianity. Yeah, there's some truth there, man. But appreciate you guys, man. Appreciate all my guests that showed up, man. Shout out to all my folks on X, all my people that pulled up this morning via YouTube, everybody that supported the channel financially via Super Chat, Super Stickers, gifting ARP family memberships. Appreciate you guys, man. And shout out to all my ARP family members, man. Appreciate you guys, man. Enjoy the weekend. Keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all Monday, Lord willing. Y'all take care, man.
Vibes so raw, can't hide the truth. Words so sharp,